Summer kiss, blue eyes, a mighty pretty sunrise. Let's go margarita, but baby wanna meet ya. Honey wanna let go, follow what I beat up. Take it to new places, chasing my wishes. I love you, I love you, love. It's enough to do the things to make us work. I love you, I love you, love. It's enough to do the things to make us work. And when we look at our lives, 1 million years from now, we'll know we lit the world up just like that. And when we look at our lives, 1 million years from now, we'll know we lit the world up just like that. Just like that. La 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 Two glasses of Prosecco, the ocean is so warm, aching just to let go and fall into your arms. Fight against the warning, ignore my mama's words. See new auras forming like haloed hummingbirds. I love you, I love you, love. And I do crazy things to make us work. I love you, I love you, love. And I do crazy things to make us
Sorry about the delay all. Let's go ahead and try that one more time. That works a lot better. Okay. I'm going to call that good right there. And then we'll go ahead and give it a softer roll off on the other side of that. Alrighty. Thank you so much for sharing the link while we're live. I see that you have jumped in. Chat is open, and I'm happy to interact with anybody who wants to jump in and start asking questions. But we've got so much to cover today, so much news. We've got all kinds of news from the crypto exchange CEO that apparently stole over $2.5 billion worth of value. We've got international authorities grabbing this guy from Thodex. being caught in Albania. I mean, what's going on there? We've got Iran news. We've got news from accidental coin burns. We've got news regarding GameFi rug pulls and all kinds of exploits there. We've got news regarding what the FBI is telling American investors to do. Yeah, the FBI is chiming in right now, but they're not the only ones. We've also got JP Morgan jumping in and trying to give strong recommendations regarding DeFi and crypto investments. We've got Genesis and Galaxy raising a $500 million fund. We've got the 3AC ETH addresses beginning to move funds. That's right. We thought that all that saga was over. No, it is not. They haven't gone anywhere. They're going to continue to operate just a little bit, and we're going to find out exactly how much. We've got GPU pricing with additional light at the end of the tunnel. We've got Crypto.com suing its own users. Why would they do that? Let's find out in today's live stream.
Summer kiss, blue eyes, a mighty pretty sunrise. Mezcal margarita, my family wanna meet ya. Honey wanna let go, follow all the beat out. Take it to new places, chasing all our wishes. I love you, lost enough to do the things to make us work. I love you, lost enough to do the things to make us work. And when we look at our lives,
Additionally, we're going to cover the news regarding AVAX. Yes, Ava Labs. It's an absolute scandal. So we need to talk about that. We need to figure out whose story is correct, because now the narratives are shifting. Don't go anywhere. Share that link. Additionally, let's talk about how Web3 game developers are raising funds, talk about what it means for you and for me, talk about Argentina and stablecoins, and talk about Aave and what they're doing to prepare for the merge. Last but not least, let's talk about a little bit more of the regulatory environment. We have the Fed expecting to launch faster payments by 2023. Have they been lining us up to accept a sort of secret CBDC? We'll find out.
so warm, aching just to let go and fall into your arms. Fight against the warning, ignore my mama's words. See new auras forming like haloed hummingbirds. I love you, lost, and I do crazy things to make us work. I love you, lost, and I do crazy things to make us work.
And it looks like we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mind Your Biz. My name is Seth, and we are fresh back from Las Vegas. You saw the Las Vegas, Nevada roundup, sort of sizzle reel footage in the lobby today. We won't be doing that every single time, but we're doing it today because it kind of shows you what was going on in Las Vegas, but not everything. There was a whole lot more to it. There were high-speed car chases. There were high-speed helicopter versus car chases. There were evenings out with a lot of industry builders and creators for NFTs, play to earn, and then, of course, the artists themselves. And then there were all kinds of panels that were recorded by the event staff that we'll be able to air again here on Mind Your Biz. So thank you for being tuned in for that. Definitely appreciate your support. But today we're going to talk about all kinds of news. We're going hard today. It's going to be a long live stream, and that's intentional. Lots of news to cover, lots that's going on in the crypto markets, lots that you need to know, and in particular regarding the tentpole projects like Avalanche, like Ethereum, like Shiba Inu, and of course the Shiba Inu derived project Bone, or the derived token Bone, which has had a pretty serious value pop over the last couple of days. We're going to talk about all that and more, including regulation, including the recommendations from groups like JP Morgan, they're very, very vocal right now. They're very strongly opinionated, and we need to find out why that is. At least in my opinion, we need to find out why. Let's go ahead and start with our portfolio talk, though, and we'll end with the news because there is so much to talk about. So without further ado, let me jump in and show you the Fear and Greed Index, current score of 27, up from yesterday's score of 24, but down from last week's score of 28, and definitely down from last month's score of 39. We've kind of been riding this low of fear, but not necessarily extreme fear over the last several weeks. And in my mind, as you know, this is usually a counter indicator. Let me quickly disclaim you right now, red screen you right now, and just tell you I'm not trying to offer financial advice, but just saying that usually when there's something to play off of, it's a lot easier to say, well, people are fearful, so I'll be a little more greedy, or people are greedy, so I'll behave a little more fearfully. And maybe it's time for me to sell, maybe it's time for me to buy, and I'll make that decision based on what everybody else is doing because I don't want to follow the herd. I want to make sure that I avoid the group mentality, avoid the group think trap that a lot of people fall into, and allow myself to, well, experience a better outcome than what the group thinks. So that's why I am such a big fan of the Fear and Greed Index. How is it measured? Well, it takes the aggregate score of sentiment as measured on Twitter and on Reddit, primarily with mentions of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, there are other factors, and I'm sure at this point, the Fear and Greed Index is beginning to roll in sentiment from other major projects, such as Shiba Inu, Doge, and others. The meme coins have definitely done a lot over the last year to help disrupt the market. So it would be crazy if the Fear and Greed Index didn't include something with regards to these meme coin projects and some of the other tokens. But I don't know their secret sauce. And Fear and Greed, if it were only measuring Bitcoin and Ethereum, that would still be enough. They also do have surveys, but they're not currently using them. So yeah, and then of course trends using Google data, right? So Google measures trends, and they roll all of that into a single score day after day. But here on Mind Your Biz, we think that it's normally a function of price action just as much as it is anything else. So let me show you the current Bitcoin chart over on the one-day chart over on TradingView. This is what I affectionately call our mining chopsticks. We've got these two orange lines. They look a little bit like chopsticks. Normally we have some kind of a descending triangle or an ascending triangle, some kind of a very rough range that we're trying to measure Bitcoin's performance in. But this is, again, that rough range that we're measuring Bitcoin's performance between. And we see it kind of moving sideways, crawling sideways. I'll zoom in a little bit here. But yeah, these are daily candles. Now, we've widened them up a lot to show that there is a macro trend that we've been experiencing over the last several months, since about April, right? So there we go. Yep, almost April 1st. Joke's on us. Market's going down, down, down. We've had some bounces along the way. I still firmly believe that these are essentially just bounces, that we have had manipulation here, and that we've been getting manipulation here precisely so that there can be despair caused later on. What does that mean? Well, we'll find out later on in today's episode. I'll be a lot more straightforward with you about my take on maybe if there is, not conspiracy, I don't want to use that word too loosely, but if there is some kind of collusion between a couple of other groups, they wouldn't have to tell us because these are not regulated markets, right? So JP Morgan can say whatever they want about Bitcoin and Bitcoin markets, and they're pretty much indemnified. There's not really any liability, rather, for what they're saying, because they're not necessarily making recommendations about a regulated product. Now, if it were an ETF, that's something else. But Bitcoin itself, JP Morgan can release any kind of news that it wants. And the broader cryptocurrency markets, JP Morgan can release any kind of news that it wants. And there is basically no penalty for them being right, wrong, for them leading investors astray. All they have to do, their only responsibility, is a fiduciary responsibility to getting their investors paid. So if it gets their investors paid, it doesn't matter what they've said in the meantime about this market. But yeah, jumping back into this chart, it looks like we've pretty much performed at this point along this new trend line, or according to that same trend line. And we'll see, maybe we do get a breakout to the upside, but all indications are right now that Bitcoin stands to lose more ground. It's not holding the support that many hoped that it would. And And I've been saying for quite some time that we could see bottom support anywhere between 12.5 to 14K. If it goes below that, fine. But 12.5 to 14K is certainly my target, where I would be very, very comfortable dollar cost averaging in at that point or below that point. And I've been kind of keeping my dry powder reserved for that point. I really strongly believe that we're going to see those prices. And so I'm not going to throw good money after bad, dollar cost averaging in at $30,000 or $20,000 when I think I can get it for, about half of that $30,000 price tag for Bitcoin. So that's kind of my strategy. And I'm not offering any advice here. That's not what we do on Mind Your Biz. I'm just throwing it out there. This is the chart. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. We're not changing at all. New tool that we're exploring on the Mind Your Biz, the longer live stream. This is called cryptobubbles.net, and cryptobubbles.net is a visual representation of the current market cap. It's the top 100. We can distill that to several other views as well if we wanted to see the top 200, etc., or just exchanges. I think the top 100 will suit our purposes just fine, but I think it's important, if we can, to look at the Satoshi value, right? So when we look at the Satoshi value, this is where things get very interesting, right? So being able to, instead of looking at the dollar opportunity or opportunity cost, we can see what would have happened if we were holding Bitcoin versus holding this asset. So many Bitcoin maximalists will say that Bitcoin is the only thing that you should hold, but it looks to me, based on these charts and based on, the numbers, the actual market performance, that holding some of these assets instead of Bitcoin would have yielded more over the last week, right? And we can adjust that for a different time frame if we want. We can go to a month, we can go to a year, and over the year, that's really not bad. There really are only a few winners over Bitcoin when you broaden the time horizon, right? When you decrease your time preference and go for a low time preference, Bitcoin does perform quite well. But it's it's not perfect, and there are definitely better performing assets. GMT, for example, which we've highlighted on this channel, has outperformed Bitcoin 8-1 over the last year. And then even some stable coins like BUSD, right? Every stable coin has performed better. So holding dry powder over the last year would have kept you much safer than just holding Bitcoin itself. However, we can adjust that again, right? And this is a tool for you to use, but it's cryptobubbles.net, totally free to use. And we will be using this overview to get a visual representation of the markets into the future on Mind Your Biz. Let's take a look at the cost to mine one full Bitcoin. We're going to go for our usual top of the line S19J Pro at 3,500 watts, so relatively unoptimized, and the current break-even electricity price is 11.2 cents, but we're going to bring that all the way up to 8 cents because I think that's a lot more realistic for you. We're still mining one full Bitcoin at about $14,500 at that point. And hey, I see that our view count has definitely popped up. Thank you so much for the love there, dear chat. I really appreciate you sharing the link, and welcome to Mind Your Biz. If you are new here, do be sure that you're subscribed, hit the thumbs up, and share the link while we're live. It helps YouTube know that this is important content that will help people on their crypto journey. And of course, here at Mind Your Biz, we don't require you to use a super chat or to pay to have your comments heard or seen. Of course, if you're shilling in the comments, we don't put up with that. But yeah, do interact. Do be very interactive. Do share the link. Gallo is in the chat saying, "Morning, sir." Stereo 2 says, "Hello, everyone." Now, I've got a question for Gallo and Stereo 2, who are a couple of our regulars. Were you able to see that I was live right when I went live, or did you only notice after we had an increased view count? These are important things that I need to know because I suspect that we're experiencing some interference on the new channel. But yeah, your feedback is very valuable. And of course, you guys being members of the community is so appreciated. I mean, it's huge. It's everything, right? The community that's been supportive of Mind Your Biz has kept me going over the last 4 years and assisted me in making massive changes to my life, being able to go from previously working in corporate training to being able to work in, Well, I had worked in marketing prior to that, but being able to work in marketing again, but working in crypto marketing, right? Web3 and crypto marketing, being able to create tutorial videos and graphics and motion graphics and other stuff that it's an old skill set of mine, but being able to use that in crypto. And it's really broadened my view of what's possible in this ecosystem. So thank you. That's, guys, if really, thank you. It means so much. Like it's made it entirely possible for my family to be able to get exposure to cryptos in a way that they wouldn't have before, and be able to learn about cryptos in a way that they wouldn't have before because we're in the thick of it. So it really means a lot, guys. Really appreciate you. Gallo says, I got onto YouTube, saw the vid on feed and clicked. Said I was the only viewer, even though you'd been streaming for 15 minutes. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at, Gallo, is that I only saw very few viewers. So I had an issue. I think I've got an issue with notifications going out correctly. So that's kind of the issue there. Stereo 2 says, I saw right away. I hope that's helped. Appreciate it. Definitely appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. But appreciate you hitting that thumbs up. While you're here, if you're lurking, do be subscribed. That does happen occasionally as well. But we got to go over some of the latest news, guys. AVAX has experienced some serious issues there. So, oh, another little viewer pop there. But appreciate you being supportive. Appreciate you being here live. The Deadwood says, good morning. The Deadwood, I'm going to ask you the same question. We got another regular in the chat. Were you able to see that I went live right when it went live? Did it push a notification to you? Or, I mean, I'm not going to pry, but if you have notifications turned on for all notifications, if you click the bell, did you see immediately that we were live, or did it take YouTube a minute to notify you? Or were you notified at all? I know sometimes that's been an issue as well, but let me know in the chat. It definitely is helpful. But yeah, I think that this is going to be the top of the bottom, so to speak. I'm just going to call that the top of the bottom. Also, if my voice is sounding a little bit trashed, it's because I was in Las Vegas all weekend. And no, it was not gambling, though I guess going to crypto events is in itself kind of a gamble, right? We'll just call it that. But I was invited to speak on a panel in the NFT LV Con. So I went, talked about, well, ironically, I talked about hard currency and Bitcoin, but also talked about the opportunities within cryptocurrencies, tokens, and NFTs. So yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I had a blast. Got to see some people who I haven't seen in a little while, and in-person events are really hard to replicate in any other way. So I'm glad that we're still having industry events, and I had a great time. I thought the show organizers did a phenomenal job, but cannot recommend in-person events highly enough. But I do think this is the so-called top of the bottom of the range, if that makes sense. So, oh my gosh, Stereo 2 admits that we may have. Wait a second, Stereo 2, Rocco? Is that the Don himself? Or no? No, was it? Definitely appreciate that. So, yeah, I think this is the top of the bottom of the range, so to speak. And what does that mean? It means that we're going to get somewhere into this range here, and I probably need to just define a brand new container here. So let's go ahead and I need to get some of my drawing tools going, right? So yeah, we got that going right there. I haven't drawn on this chart in a long time, but I think that it's finally time. Nope, we don't need fib tools. Nope, we don't need lines. We need a box, and there should be a box we can put there. Yeah, Stereo 2 says, yes, it's me. I was going to be so disrespectful to Stereo 2 and use the Mario voice from Super Mario Brothers. It's me, Rocco. That's so terrible. That's so... Seriously, don't cancel me, Rocco. But yeah, seriously, he runs a phenomenal studio in Las Vegas, and I was floored by the hospitality of the Sin City Crypto team and of the professionalism of Rocco and of their studio. Guys, they've got something going on there that is truly unique and truly special within the crypto sphere. Most people don't know. But let's see. Okay, that's going to get edited, isn't it? It's going to get cut out of this video, and Rocco's going to use that as a ringtone. It's me, Rocco. Please don't. Yeah. No. I don't know if my ego can handle that. Okay, so rectangle is, I think, probably going to be the only thing that we need here. There we go. Yeah, a little colored rectangle. So let's go ahead and Oh, hey. Yeah, that's good right there. So let's identify this at, woo. That's sharp. Sharp like a razor blade. And zoom out. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to see the bottom of the range. And yeah, we already had that about 12.5. And let's go ahead and identify that, yeah, there may be an even lower range that is sort of fire sale pricing. Some people are calling for $9,000. Some people are calling for $8,000 for Bitcoin. I just don't see that, folks. I just don't believe that's even possible. And whoa, we have got that like counter going gangbusters. Thank you so much for hitting that like. Thank you for sharing the video while we're live. Again, that's when it really matters, guys. It really does. When we're live is when YouTube really needs to see that this is being propagated out to the rest of the platform, and it's being shared on YouTube or on Twitter and on Facebook, on LinkedIn even. Those are important places for this to be shared. So thank you for propagating the signal. It means everything to the channel. Thank you. So about 14.5K right there is what I'm going to identify as our possible like value range. And let's see, what's a good value color? Okay, I think value pricing in my mind. You remember the old blue line products at say like Walmart or whatever? It's the blue line products. Blue line, great value. This is a great value. We'll see how long it takes to actually get into this range. Hopefully it doesn't take us too much longer, but we're going to take a look at some of the news articles that we have right now. Oh my gosh, guys, thank you for sharing that link. But Stereo2 says, been following you for a while now. Thank you for the kind words, Mario voice. Oh, yeah. No, man, you're welcome. And let me know, of course, because it's you, Stereo2, because it's you, Rocco, let me know if there's anything else you want me to say in the Mario voice so you can snip that out and use it for the Sin City Crypto channel if you want, for the soundboard or for whatever else. I am happy to do that. Honestly, it's the least I can do for how hospitable your team was to me while we were in Las Vegas. It was so cool. So yeah, go ahead and throw words my way. We'll do it in the Mario voice so you have more soundboard material and, of course, more blackmail material for me, because that's what everybody needs, is more blackmail material in their life, right? Like, who wouldn't want that? But at this point, yeah, that's what I'm calling our value buy range. It's even below what we have in the DCA range here. I think this DCA range is still probably sound. Most people in about the next 3 to 4 years are going to be very happy that it DCA'd in this green range here. They won't be upset at all that they picked up Bitcoin at 40K or below. Let me jump out of the way so I can actually show you what I'm looking at. But the great value range here, see that blue line? Sort of like, that's a great value. And then here in green, I don't think anyone's going to be upset about DCAing there, but you know, we may see that we're at the top of the S-curve with Bitcoin adoption and Bitcoin pricing, and that may mean that $80,000 is the top of the next bull market. And so, yeah, you may only see a 200% increase in your holdings. And I think that CryptoBubbles.net is kind of showing that very, very clearly on that yearly chart, right? That so many, especially when we keep it denominated in Bitcoin value, right? Many other coins have done, like Gala has done 400% it's versus Bitcoin in that same time period. That's what denominating your holdings in Bitcoin does for you, and your gains in Bitcoin does for you, is let you know how much better off you'd be just holding that asset. So our stables here, Frax, USDC, BUSD, DAI, USDT, all those, like you're up 50%. You failed to lose your holdings because you held on to stables instead. So definitely a better way to go for most people, in my opinion. But yeah, our cost to mine one full Bitcoin, I think, defines the very top of that range, right? So right about there, that's about the top of the range with our cost to mine one full Bitcoin. And then dipping further into that area, the Deadwood, I think, I love what the Deadwood is saying too. It says 12.7 is his lawn dart toss. I'm assuming your gender, the Deadwood. I hope you will forgive me, but I think we've had enough interactions that it's a safe assumption. Says that it's his lawn dart toss at Bitcoin's bottom. That's about where I'm at too, man, to be honest. Like, what I'm looking at is the potential for a lower cost of production. And I think that with the amount of manipulation that we've had, people who think that we're going to find a classical bottom based on previous models and fractals for Bitcoin charts, I think they're going to be disappointed. I think that they're going to find that their models are rejected in the same way that the top of the most recent models were rejected too. We can't count on anything but manipulation in the current environment. The Fed is manipulating the dollar. How can we possibly expect that Bitcoin, which is being measured in dollars, won't be manipulated? Right? So, yeah. Anyway, just throwing that out there. Deadwood calls out Semper Fi. Let's hear it for our Marines in the chat. I can't call it back, brother. I mean, that's the other thing. I'm going to be very, very clear about how I am not about that stolen valor, but you have all my respect, brother. Appreciate that very much. Thank you for your service. All right, guys, jumping back out. The chart is going to stay as is right now with our great value blue line. You guys remember the blue line stuff? Just a white box with blue text and blue lines on it. That's how you knew you were getting a good deal from the store. It's like it's basically Frosted Flakes, Mom, or your mom was telling you. It's basically Frosted Flakes. Yeah, so crazy stuff. It's like, no, Mom, it's not Frosted Flakes. It's the house brand, but it's got a blue line on it, so somehow you're comfortable with that. Okay, so we've locked that into our chart. This is a new range that we're defining. Our hyperviolet is where you probably got burned, and I think that the next bull run on the way up, if you bought the top here, and certainly if you mortgaged your home to buy the top here, you could probably get up. You're probably not going to be very happy with your holdings at the peak of the next bull run. You're going to be like, okay, well, I made my money back. I was made whole. Maybe you see a multiple, but I don't think it's going to be the same as previous bull runs. All right, well, we may have to snip this out and pull it back up next bull run, but I don't think it's going to be as satisfying as it is for people who got into more performant assets, your galas and all of your other tokens here, not your stable. That's hilarious that stables make up the majority, and then Pax Gold. Oh my gosh, even tokenized gold did better than Bitcoin this last year. That's sobering. Just going to say it that way. Much sobering. Deadwood says, does the lawn dart reference show my age? LOL. Much respect and appreciation to you, Seth. Hey, thank you for that. And that's right back at you, man. Some, what is it? All gave some, and I definitely appreciate that. So shout out also to our fallen heroes. But let's see. Yeah, that cost of mine one full Bitcoin is going to be the top of the bottom of the range. Let's take a look at our current transaction fees, guys, and we are going to go a little bit longer on today's live stream than we normally do. Heads up, this is going to be a long live stream, so I brought little wake up juice for myself here, and I want to stay with you over the next couple of hours here while we go over all the news. While I was in Las Vegas, the crypto markets basically decided to go insane. They basically just decided to go fully crazy. Totally insane. So we've got a lot to talk about, and we can't wait. The news cycle is offering us so much that we need to discuss, and that we need to not only be informed about, but we need to warn others about that. Yeah, I can't put this off, right? We've got to talk about this today. I've got just enough time this morning that we can definitely make that happen. So back into our screen share. Appreciate you guys sharing that link. Oh my gosh, I keep on seeing. It looks like we've got additional new viewers. Hit that thumbs up and do be subscribed. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our live streams. I'm a little bit concerned about the new channel possibly not getting as much love as it should. But we're on txstreet.com taking a look at the two pricing charts for transactional volume and price. We're going to get rid of the last block, going to get rid of pending transactions. We're not too worried about the pending transactions. But we're going to get the median contract fee listed here and the median gas price listed here. Why? Because the bottom line is kind of what matters. If the median transfer fee to just send ETH is $1.13 and the contract fee is just under $4, then that means we've got still pretty decent pricing for using the Ethereum network. That may change as we get closer and closer to the merge. Definitely transactional volume is going down on Ethereum as we get closer to the Beacon Chain merge. And part of that is just because there's a lot of concern. I've had concern about the Guerli testnet. I mentioned that over on Crypto Wendio's impromptu live stream while we were in Las Vegas. You can look that up over on Crypto Wendio's channel. I should probably link to that after we're done live streaming. But yeah, I just said, I got a little bit nerdy and I said the Guerli testnet is not working out quite as planned. I mean, yes, the merge happened. And so you can say the merge happened and there are no problems, except that it didn't exactly go off without a hitch. There have been problems, and there are third-party services that offer testnet usage of their services that when you switch to the Gwirly testnet, they no longer function. So if that's the case for some of those services, they're not functioning correctly, or their block explorers are not tracking your transactions as you need them to, then what's going to happen to the mainnet when the merge is attempted sometime in September? I'm less confident now. I'm less confident that it's going to work out the way they hope, just a little bit less confident in the way that that's going to shape up. So yeah, well, you heard it here first. I am worried about the merge now. I wasn't before. I am now. But let's take a look at txstreet.com. Our median transaction fee on Bitcoin is 30 cents. And the median fee measured in sats per VByte is a little over 8 sats or satoshis per VByte. And I mean, this is not the best pricing for Bitcoin, but it's not bad. 30 cents for a transaction is not the worst thing. And there is greater utilization happening on Bitcoin right now, greater transactional volume on Bitcoin relatively over the last year than there has been on Ethereum. So ironically, Bitcoin's price is down, but Bitcoin's utilization is up. People are transferring it off of exchange. They're holding it in their own sovereign wallets, hardware wallets, which, by the way, I'm still excited about us being able to get to our Foundation Devices Passport 2 review. I've got the majority of that shot. It's just not quite edited yet because of going out of town. It made it a little bit slower a process, but it's nearly shot, so there will be some editing done on that. An absolute pleasure to use. I intended to try it out in Las Vegas, but I didn't bring it with me for fear of us, going into some kind of a high action adventure and then possibly having it, say, like fall out of a helicopter or something, which, by the way, I flew in a helicopter while we were in Las Vegas. High-speed chase against two, well, not sports cars, one luxury car and then one sports car, a Lamborghini and a Rolls-Royce Phantom. So Huracan Evo tearing up an old abandoned highway in Las Vegas, I guess the Red Rock area, and then the Phantom just behind it. So pretty amazing little stunt footage. I was the aerial photographer for that because there was a need. So, mind your biz. It's what we do, right? You need somebody to jump into a helicopter and race. My only question is, do we have the doors on or the doors off in that helicopter? Let's go, right? Like, why wouldn't you grab life by the horns? So, yeah, that's what we did in Las Vegas. I can't wait to show you that footage as well. It's going to be awesome. But that's why I didn't bring the extra hardware wallets with me, is that I was worried about possibly losing them, right, when we're in Las Vegas. I think it's a fair bet that things that you bring to Las Vegas, you often lose, including, your spare cash and maybe sometimes your sanity. So try to play it safe in Las Vegas by not bringing too much of value. No offense, Stereo 2. That's not, I didn't mean, because I also had a great time, but I was trying to be cautious, right? And hedge my bets, mitigate my losses. But TX Street is showing us that, yeah, current pricing is just great if you need to right size your portfolio. And again, as of the time of this broadcast, we can definitely still, like, Tornado Cash smart contracts are not available to you if you are a U.S. citizen or you are using it with a United States IP address. But using CoinJoin on, say, Samurai Wallet is still available to you. It has not been outlawed yet. OFAC has not listed any of the CoinJoin applications or decentralized implementations of CoinJoin. They haven't listed those as illegal to use yet, or as non-entity, right, or not, I forget what their exact terminology is, but they haven't listed them yet in their blacklist. So you can still use those to be able to mix your Bitcoin legally as of today. I would strongly recommend that you consider it. Maybe it's not the perfect choice for you, but I think that you should consider that as a possible choice to keep your cryptocurrency holdings private, right? And have a post-mix wallet where you just keep your savings. Of course, I'm not telling anybody that they should avoid their taxes. You figure that out for yourself. But once you know where you're putting your post-mix wallet, sever the links and put it into a wallet that is private. That's just what I think you should do, personally. I just think it's the right choice. We've got a couple of additional winners popping up in the GPU mining profitability chart here. Let me jump out of the way and show you over on whattomine.com that our current king of mining for GPUs, the 3090 Ti. First off, the price continues to drop. You remember how I told you a couple of weeks ago or last week? And it seems like lo and behold, here we are. I told you last week you could probably find one if you were really looking for a deal. Probably find one for closer to $1,000. Well, looks like the market is absolutely listening, and we continue to see prices drop. Here on whattomine.com, they just started to add this price feed, and at that time, they had showed a price of over $1,300, closer to $1,400. eBay showed similar pricing as well, and here we are pretty close to that $1,000 mark. Gallo Salome says, thought the pics on Twitter were taken from drones. Heli is much cooler, old school. Yeah, I know. I was blown away that was the decision that was made. Part of it is that there was a reverse shot being done from the Lamborghini and from the Phantom. We had two camera operators in those cars as well, plus a chase vehicle. So a Ford Bronco, one of the newer ones. It's kind of cool. It's kind of a fun, actually very fun vehicle. Kind of reminiscent of the H3. So, not really a pure off-road vehicle, but it has some of the correct attributes of a good off-road vehicle. And so that was kind of neat to have a third car that was a chase vehicle where we could have the cameras from the Bronco, cameras inside the Phantom, cameras inside the Huracan Evo, and then shooting back at the helicopter. And so, yeah, there were a lot of middle fingers thrown back and forth. We were just having a blast. We got close enough that, guys in the car, occupants from the car and from the helicopter could see middle fingers from each other. So, as one does when you're with the dudes, it's like when you're the boys, it's like, hey, can you see this? Haha. All right. Yeah, I'm going faster than you now. Whatever. I mean, we should all have adventures like this. I truly believe that. But a little over $1,000 for that 3090 Ti. Current profit is way down when we look at the average cost for power. Now, I love that I've finally got a face to go with the name Stereo 2. So great that we actually met in person. But I don't know the average cost for power in the greater Las Vegas area or in the Henderson area, but the average across the United States is 14 cents per kilowatt hour. Why? That's because the most populated areas like LA and New York, or New York City specifically, Lower Manhattan, if you're foolish enough to try to mine in these areas at home, you're going to get gouged. You're going to get close to 20 cents per kilowatt hour, possibly upwards of 25 cents per kilowatt hour in some areas. And ironically, in some of the most intelligent areas of the world, within Western Europe and such, where you have huge concentrations of people, you've got huge prices for power. So you have to be mindful that that's going to adjust some of the averages. And if you really want to mine profitably, you've got to get your rigs out of those areas. But 14 cents per kilowatt hour is the average. And at that average, we're looking at $1.50 for a very expensive card. But that price continues to dip. We were just barely over $2 about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Gallo Salome says, please tell me the Bronco was white. It was yellow. The Lamborghini was white. Yeah, the Lamborghini was white. The Bronco was yellow. So now I'm worried that maybe your ability to perceive the colors there is a little off. I'm sorry, Gallo. Siento mucho, hermano. I didn't know. I won't make jokes about colors anymore. But guys, that's our current price on mining profitability. For the top of the line, I'm still looking forward to getting an RTX 3090 cheap. And if Robert Kiyosaki is to be believed, we're going to see sale pricing on pretty much everything, everywhere, all at once. That's the name of a movie, isn't it? Anyway, maybe they're preparing us, right? PSYOP. They're preparing us for the sale pricing on everything, everywhere, all at once. But bottom of the line, GPUs are back out of the profit if you're looking at that high cost for energy. Neoxa is coming up in profitability. It pretty much tops the charts for all of the lower spec cards, and it's on the list for almost all our cards. Flux is back on the list as well for profitability. Ethereum or Classic and Ion are also showing up. Cool to see Ion back in the running for some profitability, but only on the GTX 1080 Ti. And this is, of course, just top 3 for all these cards. But Neoxa is coming back with a vengeance right now, definitely showing that profit. It had a recent price pump, and so a lot of people who were mining it previously are very excited about that. It's time for me to just quickly say, without giving any kind of advice, you should consider taking profit right now. If you wait, you might find that you're holding a bag. And I think that, so it's funny, Stereo 2 and I, when we met up in the studio at Sin City Crypto, we both commiserated over the fact that we did not sell our Raven coin because we both had it when it was 1,600 Satoshis. Remember how earlier in the live stream I mentioned we need to measure our gains in Satoshi value? That's why. If you sell something at its top Satoshi value, then it's going to over time, in the long run, it's going to outperform the dollar. So unfortunately, we both had that problem of holding a bag. Yeah. Yellow Bronco with racing Lambo stripes, Brembo brakes, turbocharged. Yeah, I know, right? How sexy can you possibly make a Ford Bronco? You can't, right? But they've done the best job that they could. Ford has not done that bad with this year's model. So it was fun anyway. Fun to chase a Lambo in that car. Let's take a look. Speaking of GPU mining profitability, hey, look at this. The Guinier branded Intel Arc A380 Photon 6 gig graphics card. So GDDR6, running GDDR6 with multiple display ports and one HDMI 2.0 port on it. This is the current state of things, the absolute state of things. $230 gets you one of these guys, and apparently, does it actually come in white? What? What do you mean white? What is this? What's wrong with Newegg? I clicked that button twice, and it's like no GPU for you. Good grief! What? What is going on here? This is crazy. Apparently, yeah. Changing the color changes the make and model, right? This one's by ASRock. Also the A380 base model with 6 gigs of GDDR6, but only a 96-bit bus. So this is going to be terrible at mining, is what I'm reading right now. With a 96-bit memory bus, this is going to absolutely lag. It's basically designed to be unmineable, right? The card itself is designed to be unmineable. Very slow bus with very fast RAM. Who does that? Why do you even bother putting GDDR6 on a card if you can't really push all of the data that you need to onto that memory so that you can process your scenes, right? For GPU rendering of video games and such. This is just crazy. So the Deadwood says, Raven, I spent months mining that. Just wish I didn't have to maintain the wallet's vast gigabytes of space. Yeah, I know. Well, here's the one nice thing about Raven and Flux is that there is a pretty amicable relationship between those two projects. And so the Zelcore wallet not only lets you hold your Raven coin holdings in a light wallet, but also at one point they were giving full support of tokens or of assets that were minted on Ravencoin that you could hold in your Zelcore wallet as well. I haven't checked in on that recently, and I don't have any Ravencoin assets that I care to check in on anymore. In fact, the wallet that I had before, I'm just not worried about anymore. That's how poorly I look on the future of Ravencoin, is that I just don't care about those bags that I held anymore. They're okay, right? They're a decent, it's a decent bag, but I kind of just don't care. Water under the bridge, cost of doing business, right? Loss, that's loss that I have to subtract from my profit from elsewhere. But yeah, you can potentially just sweep all of that in. You can't import your seed phrase into Zelcore. That's still something that today they won't necessarily let you do. They are not really big on honoring the so BIP 44, not really, or BIP 39 seed phrases. They're not very big on honoring that sort of time-tested system. But oh well, you can definitely sweep into your wallet. So yeah, pretty cool, guys. We see that the limit, you can only order just under 1,000. Just so you know. Right? Don't all jump up at once. But apparently, yeah, you can get these new Intel Arc A380s. I mean, I haven't checked in with any of the GPU mining channels to see who's actually mining on these or who's actually doing tests. But with a 96-bit bus to actually access that GDDR6, I'm not hopeful this is going to turn into anything substantial. I'm much more looking forward to just getting an RTX 3090 Ti and picking it up on the cheap, possibly below $1,000, possibly below $800 when the time comes, and then just throwing that into my workstation and calling it good, right? We're going to call that good, possibly scale up for the kids' gaming rig as well. But yeah, appreciate you guys sharing the link while we're live. Want to just quickly go over that new entrant with the Intel Arc GPUs actually hitting the market, right? They're real, right? People can actually order them. You can actually find one. You can actually put one into a rig. You can actually try it out on something. So I can't wait to see more benchmark videos. Can't wait to see more content coming out of that new product release. Let's go through our portfolios first thing before we get into all the news, guys, because there's so much news to cover. Flux is still our top of the list in the GPU mining profit long hodl strategy. But over the last week, it looks like, yeah, it's also our biggest gainer of the last week. Ergo coming in at a relatively close second at double-digit gains, and then Firo in third, which is great to see. It's great to see a privacy-oriented project be that third place. And just as a promised, I did do a deep dive on Ergo while I was in Las Vegas, in addition to writing a couple of articles for the upcoming crypto magazine. If you want to see your boy, well, if you want to read your boy's writing over in Crypto Magazine, already featured in episode 3, or the third issue of Crypto Magazine, have a feature that I wrote there. Featured, I guess I am personally featured as an influencer or whatever, like as a key opinion leader in the second issue of Crypto Magazine, and we'll be writing now confirmed writing in issue number 4. I'm super excited about being involved in Crypto Magazine and super humbled that the Crypto Mag team was willing to have me on board in their editorial and writing team. So excited about that. But yeah, so it's been a very busy weekend while in Las Vegas, flying choppers and stuff and all the other things. We're living the dream and not sleeping and drinking caffeine. I just need an IV drip, right? Essentially, or get those patches or whatever. Just pure caffeine, pure adrenaline all the time. But did the deep dive on Ergo. Going to do a proper video on that deep dive in the coming days. It'll be a separate video where it's not part of our live stream. It is just content that I produce separately, and we do that deep dive. It will not be sponsored content. I just need to know whether or not smart contracts will allow for privacy in Ergo. That's my top question. I just need to know that we have zero knowledge proofs that are roadmapped or possibly very close to being debuted on that network, and I need to know that that's going to be something that we can use in a practical way. Firo, on the other hand, is a conditional privacy network. What does that mean? It means that the privacy on Firo works an awful lot the way that privacy on Zcash works, but it uses a different type of zero knowledge proof, and it's something that they innovated on their own. I'm not going to do a deep dive here, but just say that of the top 3, it's the only one that has a privacy element. Flux stripped that out. And while I do appreciate what Flux is doing with the decentralized cloud offering, and it's very important what they're doing, I'm very sad that privacy was stripped out of the main token itself, the Flux token. You used to be able to send, well, back when it was Zcash, you used to be able to send that core token to another wallet using a zero knowledge proof, using cryptography to hide the transaction or to shield the transaction from external view. You can't do that anymore. And I'm really bummed about that because privacy matters. And privacy is the end game of all finance in the digital age, whether it's cryptocurrency, CBDC, or otherwise. Any kind of digital currency that does not allow for some level of privacy is just a tool for mass control. That's it. Mass censorship and mass surveillance, minimum. Even if it isn't censorship, mass surveillance, which can then, of course, have knock-on effects of censorship afterwards, right? Behavior observed is behavior modified. So you need to know that you can have privacy at some point. But yeah, that's our GPU mining portfolio as far as the top gainers for this week. Neoxa is not showing that 7-day pop. It is showing 24 hours. So maybe we need to resort for 24 hours. And at this point, that's still weird that it's not showing that Neoxa had a higher pop over the last 24 hours than even Firo did. But yeah, Neoxa is having its day in the sun. Let's take another close look at the Neoxa chart itself, just kind of single that out. And it looks like, yeah, 14% up, current market cap at just under $3 million. So it leaves a lot to be desired as far as that goes, but check it out. The total supply is only 21 billion, and it is currently, I need to think about this, what the crap? I'm like actually really tired. It's 21 billion. Current supply is 744 million. So we're still not even 5% of the way into its coin issuance. And that's really great. So we got to do that deep dive on Neoxa as well. If it does maintain its current trajectory, then the fully diluted market cap, wait a second. Yeah, there we go. Fully diluted market valuation should be, there you go, closer to $83 million as soon as all of this is emitted. But it's going to take some time for all these coins to be emitted. That's great. Hey, look at that. And it's got an API specifically over on CryptoScope. That's how they're getting that info. So good to know where they're pulling that data from. But yeah, it's got what looks like to me a bit of a, just a bit of a manipulated chart here. I don't know how much I trust that, because the last 7 days have just kind of popped off, right? Previously, yeah, it did an 8x. So it was probably a better time to take profits a couple of days ago. That's what it looks like. Yeah, sometime over the weekend, 27th of August on Saturday, if you were paying attention, then that was your opportunity to take just a little bit of those profits, and you would have done really well for yourself. But that's Neoxa, and that's our GPU mining profits for this week in a nutshell. Neoxa was the big winner. And of course, if you're holding long term, we've been saying it for quite some time, Flux is treating you very well at $1. And I still believe that that in the not too distant future, Flux can very easily sustain a $10 per token or per coin value. And at 10 times its current market cap, that would put it at about $2.5 billion, which is thoroughly appropriate for an infrastructure level coin like Flux that is hosting decentralized cloud. So I think that it fits very, very well. That's my take on it. In fact, I think it fits much better than, say, Ravencoin doing a 10x and having a slightly about a $3.5 billion market cap at a 10x. That makes a lot more sense to me than Ravencoin's use case. Even though Ravencoin's not a bad coin at all, it's not a bad project, I just don't see it offering quite the same level of value in terms of infrastructure and in terms of general utility. It's not doing the same things. By definition, you could use Flux to host full nodes for Ethereum. You could use Flux once they get to the if they offered a different tier of node, you could use Flux to host a validator and host validator infrastructure for other tokens. And they already do, right? As I understand it, they already do host validator infrastructure for some other coin networks. So Flux offers that level of meta utility that is just better for all of the crypto ecosystem, all the cryptosphere. And Ravencoin's not bad, but it just does not offer that same level of utility. It's just that simple. Going into hard drive mining portfolio, we don't have anything new to add here. We can potentially in the future. I realize that there are forks of Chia that do offer some profit, but I just don't want to go there, guys. I don't want to place every fork here. In the same way that I haven't listed old forks of Ethereum like Acroma. Acroma stopped being interesting to me quite some time ago. So it's not going to make the list here to get sort of inexpensive forks of Chia. Chia is down though, and so we're getting closer to that projected price of the poor investor. So maybe maybe I will snag that, grab that bag of Chia at $15. But I think it's going to get pretty close to that dollar cost average range pretty soon for me, where I will grab a few, right? I'll start defining a couple of buying times where I just say, okay, I'm going to grab a few here, grab a few there, grab a few there, and then have a little bag of Chia, right? I promised that I would. It's almost time. We're getting really close to time. And I think the Bitcoin chart is kind of proving that. But moving from that into CPU mining, we have one coin that's done well over the last week, and that is quantum resistant Ledger, up to 15.2 cents. And market cap at $11 million. I wouldn't call it a strong project. It isn't a strong project. It's doing better overall in terms of market cap than Epic Cash is. And yeah, I mean, that's interesting to see because Epic Cash is still in our top 2 for P&L, right? Raptorium is still holding profit in the long-term HODL strategy, but neither one of them is doing so well that I would say you need to hold them into, say, no profit, right? A lot of people are going to hold these projects to the point that they're no longer profitable. that would be a mistake, in my opinion. That would be a grave mistake. It may be time, if you haven't taken profits from your Epic Cash or Raptorium holdings now, consider value averaging out just a little bit. Don't dump. Please be very, very responsible with these coins, because they are small caps, if not micro caps, right? They're almost nano caps at only $4 and $7 million respectively, or $8 million respectively. So the only one with the strong fundamentals here is, of course, Monero. Well, we know that. Varus coin is not doing its worst, but as per usual, it looks a tiny bit manipulated there. Yenton looks ultra manipulated, even though it had a pretty strong showing earlier this year. Ultra manipulated. And Monero is holding on for dear life, right? $3 million market cap, 4.5 cents, a little over 4.5 cents, but it's still a little privacy meme coin that could. I believe in Monero. ASIC mining portfolio, nothing is in the profit at all. Bitcoin is down 50%. We saw that over on Bubble Maps, showing that your stable coins would give you 155% returns versus Bitcoin. Instead of holding on to Bitcoin, you'd have 155% of your earnings. And that's another way of kind of framing for you that it's not the same thing to subtract value versus adding percentage value. So it's always better to not lose than to gain a certain amount of percentage, if that makes sense. But ZEC is a close second in terms of being the least worst thing to hold in this side of the portfolio. SBTC, Synthetics BTC, huge uptick in value for Synthetics BTC. Not really sure why, but I think that's because it had a bit of a problem earlier. But there's been a huge trade in Synthetics trading with the Synthetics protocol. Now, we failed to add that to our list of news to cover today, but there's a reason for that, and that is because Synthetics is a protocol, it's a project that helps you just wrap tokens, other values. It's not the core values themselves. So SBTC, this is a way that we just wrap Bitcoin onto Ethereum, and it's less centralized than the WBTC ticker symbol here. But the WBTC ticker symbol is still the largest market cap for a wrapped Bitcoin representation on Ethereum, on Matic, on Avalanche, on Phantom. Any of the EVM chains that have bridges for tokens often support WBTC. RenBTC is less centralized, but as a result, less participation. People somehow trust it less, which is weird because it is designed to be trustless. SBTC, TBTC, kind of similar, right? Similar story. They're less well known, they're less trusted, which is ironic because they don't require trust. They are trustless protocols. You should be supporting these and not wrapped Bitcoin. Wrapped Bitcoin has a centralized smart contract with administrative keys that can burn your holdings. They can delete your tokens from your wallet if they just decide that they don't like you for whatever reason, or that you have an unpopular opinion, or that there's a rumor that authorities have flagged your wallet address. They can just delete your holdings and they can mint them somewhere else. So I don't have as high confidence in wrapped Bitcoin or the WBTC symbol as I do in RenBTC, SBTC, and TBTC. So call me crazy, but I believe in decentralization and censorship resistance. Top of the list is Bitcoin, though, again. And yeah, as you see, it's just kind of a bloodbath. Mining on ASICs, this is par for the course. And this is in large part why if you're into any of these holdings, you really do need to be taking seriously the opportunity cost of not mining. Now, there's a couple of negatives there. Let me unpack that a little bit. When you're looking at some of these tokens that use proof of work for consensus, that use proof of work for security, you need to be considering mining with them. And you need to be considering mining at the lowest possible power rates if you want to hold these. Or you need to be looking at flipping your mining profits into Bitcoin, but acquiring at the lowest possible rate, equivalent to what the cost of mining Bitcoin would be. Why? Because, as mentioned before, the cost to mine one full Bitcoin, if you have the correct infrastructure, is far below its current price, right? It's not that much farther below its current price in today's pricing, but it's fairly far below its current market price. You could not market buy Bitcoin at $14,500 today. Not if you wanted to. And if you got really efficient with your mining operation and you ran the numbers for yourself, right, you can get all the way down to 5 cents. If you could do that, you could be acquiring one full Bitcoin at just over $9,000. So that's why you need to be paying attention to it. That may define the bottom of the range for what Bitcoin will do at the end of this bear market before it returns to profitability. And yeah, you can benefit from mining Bitcoin at those prices and not have to worry about what it's going to do when it finds bottom support in a bear market. That's why you need to be paying close attention to that, because these portfolios, they sting a lot less when you've acquired your Bitcoin at $9,000 instead of, say, $69,000, like some crazy people did, mortgaging their homes and selling their cars to buy it at that price. But that's our ASIC mining portfolio. Just another quick reminder there. FPGA mining portfolio. Kadena is still the only one that's still in profit in our long-term hodl. You needed to have taken profits on this when we were in the 4-digit percentages of profit. And I said that very clearly. I called you to act. I tried to warn you back when we were in the profit, back when we were in the money, to take that profit because, you know, it's gone. Water under the bridge now. Our biggest loser, Digibyte. Kind of sad to see that. Handshake, I still don't understand why we're not seeing it. Barton is asking, Mind Your Biz, are you mining any brand new coins and why? Thank you. That's a great question. I appreciate that you ask. No, I am not mining any brand new coins right now. And the reason why I'm not is because I don't feel like there's anything that's worth speculating on at the moment. But you know what? You bring up a really good point, Martin. I probably should add a segment for our Thursday live stream where I talk about some potential spec mining plays, and I put in a tiny bit of research to see what is new and poppin' over on bitcointalk.org or some possible new launches of GPU mineable coins and CPU mineable coins. So appreciate you asking. Forever Metalhead says Uncle Seth and waves, and I appreciate the skin tone correct. Right, the skin tone accurate hand that Forever Metalhead has used to wave to him. I wave right back to you, sir. My skin tone is not correct because I've got a little red light going on here, a little therapy, because I'm in the studio as opposed to being out in the sun in Las Vegas. So gotta keep the mood light and breezy there. And red light therapy actually does help a lot. It really does. If you got to sit at a desk, I strongly encourage it. Like, I'll sometimes turn off all the other lights and just have the red light on. And it just helps me kind of mellow out. But hey, appreciate you being here. Thanks for spending time with us while we're live. This is our FPGA mining portfolio, though, guys, and it is pretty much just Kadena and Digibyte that help me feel comfortable. Handshake is not bad, though. We do have a decent market cap there. Now that I'm looking through it, I mean, let me go ahead. I'm like totally gonna flip flop here. I think the only two that I'm not super excited about are 0x Bitcoin and Nimic. I think that they've got enough going on that you could potentially get some mining profits out of these markets, but at such incredibly low market caps and with such limited utility, we might see the end of 0x Bitcoin very soon. That could happen. I kind of want to look up its chart right now to see what its current daily trading volume is. And yeah, so it's finally dipped down to that level where it's corrected. I think without the automated trading that we saw before, because we did see what was very clearly automated swing trading in previous episodes, right? Most of the trading is now entirely on chain. Look at that, 0x Bitcoin markets. It was delisted from gate.io. That's why we haven't been seeing that automated swing trading. Somebody, hey, maybe it was us. Maybe we exposed some. I didn't think it was bad behavior. I didn't think it was the worst thing. I love seeing people actually win in these markets, and they're not regulated, so whatever. But apparently, we've stopped seeing any centralized exchange support of 0x Bitcoin. So it's only happening on Uniswap V2 and V3, with apparently, that's interesting that it's on both, though. So apparently, we have these. Yeah, trust. What do you mean the trust score is low? What's wrong with you? Trust score low. This is a decentralized exchange. The volume is completely transparent. What does that even mean? Trust score is yellow. It should be green. It really should be. I don't understand that one bit. But apparently it's being traded against wrapped Ethereum, and that's the only trading pair that they're showing. We could potentially take a look over there as well, again, to see what else is going on, see what the story is there. But every 24 hours, if you're only seeing $772 of value being traded every 24 hours, it's a good bet that you're not going to get the coins you mined out of into profit, right? You're not going to be able to trade them without moving the market, without causing problems. So this is me not officially pronouncing 0x Bitcoin's death, because we all know what happens when you try to pronounce a coin dead. You need to wait for it to actually go chain dead before you can say a thing like that. But this is me just saying that we might not see 0x Bitcoin make it after this bear market. We might not. This could potentially be the very end of this project's useful life anyway. Maybe it's just kind of a hollow shell of itself after that point. Only traded on chain because it's a token, so it can be traded on chain. I mean, even projects like Bytecoin haven't completely disappeared, but yeah, I worry about 0x Bitcoin. I worry about Nimiq not making the cut either. Going to take a look at their chart as well, so we can just quickly get a sense for 24-hour trading volume, and it's much healthier, right? But here's the thing: at $75,000 of 24-hour trading every 24 hours, it begs the question: where is it being traded, with such volume? Clearly, KuCoin against Bitcoin and against Tether, but Ascendex, yeah, not quite so much volume. Ascendex is not bad, and the trust scores are pretty high on these. But yeah, Nimiq versus ETH, Tether, and Bitcoin over on KuCoin, and then versus Tether and Bitcoin on Ascendex. It's entirely possible with that level of trading volume, and this is not me accusing anybody of anything, but it's entirely possible that the leadership team alone is doing greater than 50% of those trades. They could be doing 100% of those trades and entirely wash trading their own project to keep it alive during these difficult times, right? So then, not an accusation. I'm not accusing their leadership team of anything. I'm just communicating to you what's possible, right? That's under $100,000 worth of trading volume. We know that most of these project founders have at least that much kind of lying around, right? And marketing budgets being what they are, showing heavy trading volume is usually part of that marketing budget. But yeah, we'll leave that at just there. But I worry about these two just a bit more than the others because they've got that relatively low market cap. And yeah, the use case is just not as obvious. Proof of stake smart contracts. Oh, man. The Deadwood says, it appears as though Twitter has done another purge. I'm losing interest in this platform of shilling bots. Yeah, I agree. I'm not very happy with Twitter, and every post that I do lately does seem to have like massive follow bot shills. And a lot of them are pointing to like fake how-to videos on YouTube showing like, oh, here's an MEV bot. You can set this up. Just like blindly copy and paste this Solidity code over into this compiler and run it with your, sign it with your private keys. And it's like, dude, that's insane. You got people actually following some of these tutorials and like giving giving permissions to some of their Ethereum wallets, to some of these random scripts. People are going to get wrecked, going to get absolutely destroyed following stuff like that. But proof of stake smart contracts, Avalanche has had a huge surge back up. Now, it's already corrected just a little bit, but it's had a huge surge back up because people are buying the rumor, right? They were buying the rumor that before that Avalanche was okay and that it was good and had regulatory compliance, and they've been selling the news lately and that there was this issue with them attacking their competitors, but then changing their story and saying, no, we actually are regulatory compliant. We have all our compliance ducks in a row. We're okay. And all that stuff was fake. Come on, really? It's plausible. We'll talk about that in a minute, though, because Avalanche has had quite a heavy news cycle over the last couple of days. Solana, also number 2. I don't understand it. I don't agree with it, but I guess I don't have to understand or agree with it for it to be true. It has been the second best long-term hodl. Tron as well. I don't agree with it. I don't understand it, but it's been our third best long-term hodl. Cosmos Hub at number 4. I do agree with and understand a little bit, kind of, but it's had positive price action over the last 7 days, so that's helped put it in that category there. Binance Smart Chain, it's BNB token, also in the top 5 to round off the top 5. These make sense to me. These two make sense to me. Wax also makes sense, but it's a lot lower. Matic moving up the rankings makes sense to me. Polkadot not making sense to me, but again, like it doesn't have to make sense for it to be profitable, right? Like sometimes the profit is not where you think it should be because we have a very strong bias towards fundamental analysis in the mining ecosystem, right? When it comes to GPU mining, when it comes to even setting up validators, we tend to have a very strong fundamental analysis that has a bias towards fairness and decentralization, right? Fair launches and decentralization. And sometimes those things don't bring profit. Unfortunately, they don't always bring profit. Sometimes centralized ownership and sometimes centralized control, sometimes they do bring profit better than we realize. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. But bottom of the list for long-term hodlers, of course, are Luna Classic. But what does that really mean? Well, we saw before, we go back to our time frame on crypto bubbles. I really am loving this tool, by the way. Such a useful tool for us to have. Let's go back to a 1 month profit, and you can see right here that Luna Classic has outperformed Bitcoin by almost 100%. Right? It's one of the highest performers over the last month. And it doesn't matter if we denominate our profits in Bitcoin or Ethereum. Ethereum should show relative strength with Luna Classic as well over just Ethereum. Or if we denominate it in USD, right? In US dollar value, Luna Classic has also done really well over the last month. What does that mean? It means that if you touch Luna Classic, you're playing with fire. That's what it really means, is there was no guarantee that it wouldn't dump another 96% because you can, with cryptocurrencies, you can keep subtracting 90+% of the value over and over and over and over again because it's like the physics simulation of approaching zero. Right? It's infinite, literally infinite, right? Because of the way the mathematics work in cryptos and the potential for an atomic unit to go down even more and more, right? And the atomicity of cryptos allows you to keep dividing, right? And chopping 96% of the value off over and over again. But so it was a long shot, but some people have really won big by taking that bet over the last month. So interesting to see that, right? That Terra Luna Classic, bottom of the list, but it is up 63% over the last 7 days. So there you go. Paul D said, I'm just tuning in. Did we get Lambos yet? I got a Lambo over the weekend. It was a rental and I borrowed it. I mean, so yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't think it counts because somebody else rented it and then I borrowed it. No Chia was involved. I'm sorry. I'll get back to you soon. Maybe soon. Soon TM. But proof of stake smart contract, it's a lot more of the same, guys. The junk drawer where we've made our long bets is still showing a favorable bias towards memery. So if you thought that meme coins were a joke, well, joke's on you. So says Uncle Seth. Everrise, Floki Inu, Luffy, UFO Gaming, Doge Elon Mars, Zio Network, which is not strictly speaking a meme coin, but Shiba Inu. They're all doing better than Bitcoin, significantly better than Bitcoin. And while that may hurt, those are just the facts. Let's go to our 1 year chart here. Let's denominate our gains in Bitcoin. And then let's go for our top 500 coins. So now when we see top 500, we can see even more clearly that, yeah, we've got long shots like Cult DAO that are doing 2,200%. That's not even in our portfolio here, is it? Did we add Cult yet? We did, I thought. We had Cult added to this list. Am I not remembering correctly? I thought we had. Let's go ahead and just take a look again. But Cult, which is, there you go, Cult DAO, which is part of the sort of the broader the broader Hex ecosystem. No, it's still down, and with a $39 million market cap, it's more that it's just done well over the last year. Forever Metalhead said, yeah, joke's on me. I still believe they are a joke. Dude, that's just it. You're not wrong, right? They are literally a joke. The whole point is like, we can make a token that is the picture of like a poop emoji or a dog, and it will do better than most people who have created tokens. There we go. My shirt kind of like falling off there. That have created, not falling off, getting uneven. If you do want to see shirtless Seth, I'm over on Sin City Crypto's live stream from Sunday. So that's a thing that exists in the world now. But yeah, Some of these cryptos some of these joke tokens have done better than the fundamental tokens that we talked about earlier, right? In the portfolio that only have like a $3 or $4 or $8 million market cap. But here you go with a cult DAO. It's not exactly a joke, but others higher on the list with like SHIB Inu, $7 billion. Does it have a reason to exist? Probably not. Doji on Mars, $156 million. Everrise, $41 million. Floki Inu, which is definitely in the category of joke token, $92 million total market cap. And that's not fully diluted, guys. That's the current active coin supply that's out being traded. It's $92 million. So you're not wrong. It is a joke, and the joke is on us, all of us, right? To thought that we would just like do something that provided real value to the world, and instead these guys were like, nope, we're just going to make people laugh. We're just going to make dumb pictures and make people laugh, and they'll give us their money. And they were right. So there you go, guys. That's the takeaway lesson there. Cardano is still the only one that's in the profit in the IBC gang. Cosmos Hub is finally up at number 2 because of that 3% pop over the week. Shen2 is still rising at 12.8% over the last 7 days. Secret is down a little bit, but because of its relative P&L is in the top 5. And then Osmosis rounds it off at 1% up this week. Osmosis definitely has that strong fundamental value in my mind. And then Thorchain less so. It's lost 10% over the last week, and I think that that's appropriate because of their sort of wishy-washy stance towards privacy. Thorchain, if you're not going to do, just poop or get off the pot, what's it going to be? Are you going to support full decentralization, censorship resistance, and privacy, or are you not? Because if you're not, why would anyone care about your decentralized exchange, your cross-chain decentralized exchange? It needs to support all the tokens. It needs to especially support the privacy tokens. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to be interested in your solution for very long. And I don't think anybody else should either. That's just me. Paul D admits to being the Floki Inu founder. Somebody alert the IRS immediately. Forever Metalhead says there was actually a poop token with poop emojis as a logo. Yeah, I know. Guys, good ideas want to be free. That's the thing. Good ideas. Good ideas want to be free, right? They want to be released out into the wild. That's why, for example, people will file for a patent that does almost exactly the same thing on the same day or in the same week or on the same month. It's extremely common to see that. Hollywood studios that are competitors without any kind of like espionage or anything will register a treatment. So it's so-called. They'll register a treatment or they'll register a screenplay for almost the exact same story at the same time based on world events. Because good ideas want to be free. Things that enter the public consciousness tend to work their way into the expression of some kind of a product at the same time. So whether we like to believe it or not, we're a product of our time. And so are a lot of these projects. So poop emoji, not shocked. It's a good idea. So that's our current IBC gang portfolio. Only going to focus on the winners there. 10 set, we've only got the 5 here, and the stacked ranking kind of shows you, well, not much. The stacked ranking here has more to do with market cap. We don't actually have holdings in a paper tracker at this point, so there is no P&L for us to show. We probably should add that to make sure that we are kind of saying the same thing. Oh my gosh. Stereo 2 says, remember the Squid Game token? Yes, I do. And I remember being contacted by one of the several Squid Game tokens that asked me to do a review. I took a look at it. I need to check in on all of the sponsored reviews that I did last year and do a Where Are They Now episode. Because yeah, I may have some backpedaling to do on some of that stuff and just say, hey, it's out. So I'm gonna delete that video. I don't like deleting videos though. Like, not delete it, but like if I need to correct the record, if I need to set the record straight here on Mind Your Biz, I'm happy to do that, guys. Because I do sponsored content, and I have done sponsored content for a while to pay bills or to be able to promote the channel. So if we need to correct that, happy to do that. Paul D says, I bet most of the buyers hodled the Squid Game token. They probably did. There were incentives to stake in a lot of those, all the joke tokens and all the meme tokens and all of the pop culture tokens. So that was the one thing they did was, or they did well, was created smart contracts that allowed for long-term staking and some kind of benefit for long-term staking. So yeah, they kind of lulled their hodlers into a false sense of security by staking. So that's been the one trick that everybody has used this last bull run to get more community involvement and maintain value in that way. And then of course a lot of token burns. I'm not a big fan of token burning as a means of artificially creating value. Like, I don't get that. I really don't, unless it's programmatic and you know that it's going to happen at regular intervals. I don't get it. But Tencent not doing so well. It is down over the last 7 days. Everdome down even more. Whoa, even more, excuse me. Yeah, too much orange juice this morning. But Everdome down even more, 36%. MetaHero down 30%. Fame down 17%. But Conga Exchange up. And I'm happy to see that. I do still stand by, guys, what I reviewed in the Tencent ecosystem. They are a pretty solid team, pretty strong team of builders and developers. And yeah, and I have had only good things to say and good interactions with that team. So I hope they're able to continue with profitability. Conga Exchange is one of the few that is KYC light or KYC free under certain limits. And I think that they're common sense limits. And I think that right now with the current sort of, with the current climate towards cryptocurrencies, I would prefer to have more options in that category and not fewer. So I'm happy that Conga Exchange is in operation, and I'm very happy that they operate in the territory that they do. And I'm very happy that they're an option and that they're willing to do business with people from the United States and Canada and the rest of Western Europe. So I hope that they're able to maintain that posture in the current political climate that cryptocurrency finds itself in. But those are our 10 set gems. Take a look at our stables really fast and see if we can see any outliers. DAI stablecoin is currently trading at 99 cents. That's not often the case, but there's usually a fluctuation, as you can see. Pretty high frequency fluctuations, kind of hovering around the dollar mark for most stablecoins, as measured here on CoinGecko. Frax appears to be slightly down, again, 98 cents on the dollar, but it's not such a big deviation that I think it's going to cause a problem anywhere. True USD, Pax Dollar, USDD, again, keeping around that $750 million mark, as I kind of said and predicted. I think it's just going to maintain that amount. And I think that the collateral that's backing it is just going to always be right-sized. And I think that most of this actually has more to do with Justin Sun's personal wealth than it does anything else. Can't prove that. It's just a theory, but I think that that's the most plausible theory. Tell me if you disagree, or if you have a different theory, tell me in the chat. But Gemini Dollar also doing just fine at about $316 million in holdings. Terra USD Classic. Oh my gosh. So this is the crap coin casino over here. All of the Terra Classic ecosystem, right? LUNC and then USTC. No, just stay away. Just stay safe, guys. Really, just stay away. Liquidity USD also doing pretty well. I would love to see higher volume and a higher market cap on Liquidity USD. Very strong, over-collateralized stablecoin. And over-collateralization is the name of the game. Now, the collateralization ratio to create that collateralized debt position to create that stablecoin, to mint that stablecoin, I think we have to be very cautious about that, because most of us are expecting a pretty heavy dump in these markets. We could see Bitcoin drop below 50%. And for all we know, it could happen in a single day. We're not sure. I know that for me, I keep saying that 12.5 to 14K is kind of my target. Others are saying 9 to 11K. And for all we know, like in a given afternoon or a given weekend, that could happen nearly overnight, right? We could just wake up one day and see like, oh yeah, Bitcoin totally dumped. It completely nuked overnight. And if you were using that as collateral, or in this case, Ethereum for liquidity, if you're using that as collateral somewhere to be able to mint a stablecoin to get a loan right on chain, you could find that you were liquidated and you were only stuck with about 50% of your holdings because you couldn't get your collateral back out. So I think we do need to be careful about collateralization ratios for minting stablecoins. And we need to make sure that these systems are set up to be very robust and handle the kind of volatility that crypto and crypto markets have, right? So Forever Metalhead has to jump out. Or, sorry, Stereo 2's got to jump out. Appreciate that. He says, mine as much as you can. Hey, appreciate that. Yes, we do need to keep on mining. All right, stables, that's our portfolio just for stables. GPU Ethereum replacements, take a quick look at that as well. Ethereum Classic, top of the list. Ravencoin, Flux, Ergo, Conflux. I really do think that these market caps are going to be useful and instructive as we get past the merge, but they're not going to be everything, right? I need to add Neoxa to this list because clearly it is just destroying everything. So Neoxa is getting added to this list. It's not, well, yeah, and there you go. It's actually at the bottom of the list right now, but its current profitability might see it rising in the ranks. It might go past Zano or Epic Cash before long. It wouldn't be too difficult for Neoxa to do a 300% pop as we get past the Ethereum merge. Paul D is asking if Justin Sun is Satoshi because they've never been seen together. You posit a strong theory, actually. That is a good theory. That would explain a lot about the backing of that USDD stablecoin. And, you know, according to Paul D's theory, perhaps we should all be into USDD as a stablecoin and use our dormant Bitcoin bags as collateral. That would be the dream, wouldn't it? Don't sell your Bitcoin. Don't even transfer your Bitcoin. Just sign a transaction somewhere with your private key and walk away with stablecoins. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. Too bad it's like literally never going to happen. but it's quite a theory. All right, GPU Ethereum replacements has now one more entry for us to consider. And yeah, these numbers, there's just huge jumps. You see the market cap and then the market ranking, the stacked ranking. Ethereum Classic is a top 25 coin. Ravencoin isn't even a top 100 coin. Neither is Flux or Ergo. Conflux is not even a top 200 coin. Zero is not a top 400 coin. Firo is not a top 500 coin. We keep on going on a list, and what we're looking at does look like speculative mining at this point. When you're in the thousands, like Zano and Neoxa, there's no other way to frame it. This is speculative mining, and we're in a very interesting place there. Sean C. from New World Crypto says, well, I'm tardy for class, but I made it. Does someone have a pencil I can borrow? Hey, mind your biz. I appreciate you jumping in and joining us while you could. Guys, if you're not already subscribed to Sean C. or New World Crypto, they are launching in September, so you should be subscribed. We're looking forward to supporting anybody who's jumping into the content creation scene for crypto. This is important for us to support other creators, especially if they're real people, right? So I got outreach from somebody this morning who said, hey, let me promote your crypto project. Let me show you what I saw here. Let me promote your crypto project called Crypto Elites. It sounds good, right? 70,000 subscribers. They must be good, right? 70,000 subs? Hey, worth it. Take a look at their About page. Hey, joined in February 2016, but fewer than 1 million views. That's not bad. That's not exactly a red flag, but it may mean that there's something else going on. So back to their videos, got a lot of reviews of cryptocurrency projects, and I'm going to use this to sort of compare and contrast to New World Crypto's upcoming channel, right? So, and then others who are actually creating content that's valuable and intelligent. But take a look at this, and yeah, they've got some reviews. More Inu coins. All right, take a look at that.
हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल। आज मैं आपके लिए एक निहायत ही अमेजिंग प्रोजेक्ट लेकर आया हूं जिसमें मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि आप
Is that Urdu? I think that's Urdu. Okay. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it's Punjabi, and maybe I'm just being like totally insensitive there, but it sounded like Urdu to me. So, Harold Inu, rewards in Bitcoin. Awesome. With over 9,000 views. So that's interesting. And it's funny. The content is in Urdu, but all the comments are in English. How does that happen? And then we go back to their channel, scroll down the list, and clearly if they were doing reviews then, wow, look, there's been a jump. They were making content 5 years ago. But they stopped 4 years ago, and then they started again 5 months ago. Let's take a look at that video from 5 months ago. NFT Werewolf.
Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Crypto Elites. I am Remy और आज मेरे पास आप लोगों के लिए बहुत ही interesting और unique
Screen recording quality, not great. Audio quality, not great. Not going to criticize them, just going to say, doesn't seem like it's the most professional thing there. Let's jump back to that video from 4 years ago, because I'm really curious. I mean, clearly it's the Wizardian project review. And 5 years ago, the Ikari Inu website review? Wait a second. Was Ikari Inu even a project 5 years ago? Let's take a look.
إن الحمد لله الأكرم الذي خلق الإنسان وكرم.
Wait a second. That doesn't look right. That's not Ikari Inu. Is it? Let's just jump farther into that live stream. Clearly, there's more to this review.
সম্মানিত উপস্থিতি, সম্মানিত দিনী ভাইরা।
Oh my gosh. No way. Are you telling me this guy's a scammer? Impossible. No way. I don't believe it. Because all these thumbnails prove that this is Fishing Town and Squid Buddha and Moo Monster and Crypto Gods and VD Land and new NFT project Long-Term Profits. Wow. Okay. So you're saying that things are not quite what they seem in Cryptoville, right? That's too bad. That's really too bad. So if you're wondering why I'm supportive of real creators, regardless of what their channel is like, that's why. So shout out to the people who have any size following on any type channel, but who are real creators, who are real people. So yeah, guys, things are not what they seem. And YouTube, don't ever get it twisted. It is a game. YouTube is a game. Some people play it differently though. So anyway, just wanted to kind of illustrate that for a reason, guys. Yet Forever Metalhead says, "What are we doing right now?" Well, that was a little sidebar. That was me basically illustrating to you why I think you should support my friend Shansi. So jumping back into our actual content, the main content, we take a look at our GPU mining portfolio. Why don't we jump into some news and keep it relevant? Yeah. Okay. Top of the list, Thodex Crypto Exchange's CEO was arrested for allegedly defrauding investors of $2.7 billion. What is Thodex? Well, it's a Turkish crypto exchange. And Fatih Özer has been arrested in Albania, had a 2021 disappearance. The funds were from over 400,000 users. Extradition is already underway. Interpol was definitely after this guy. And generally speaking, if you steal over $1 billion, yes, the authorities definitely want to find you. Bobcat Cannon is in the chat, says, "What's up?" Good to see you, Bobcat, in the chat. And Forever Metalhead, thank you for keeping us on track there. But yeah, when you steal over $1 billion, Interpol, the FBI, if they can get involved, if they can find that there are any victims in the United States that have lost any of their earnings based on your activities internationally, and then any kind of national authorities, right? Scotland Yard, right? If you're in England, they want to find you, and they will work together. They absolutely will. They'll work together to extradite you anywhere in the world they need to get those billions of dollars back if they can. So this guy's no exception. Definitely no exception. But he'll be charged with aggravated fraud and forming a criminal organization. So yeah, apparently they found him. They talk a little bit about how he was found, but the scam itself, he's accused of disappearing with about $2.7 billion in user funds back in April 2021. When Thodex was considered one of the largest crypto trading platforms in the country. The exit scam was initiated at a period when Bitcoin and the general crypto market was experiencing a bull run. Before his disappearance, the exchange had halted the ability of customers to withdraw their funds. The platform offered no concrete information. And before disappearing, the exchange itself lured investors by pledging to distribute luxury cars through an advertising campaign featuring a famous Turkish model, or several famous Turkish models. Interestingly, the exchange later shared a message that it needed 5 days to deal with an unspecified outside investment. So, yeah, the plot thickens in that Ozer, the gentleman in question, the executive in question, that he was pretty tight with the Turkish Minister of Interior, Süleyman Soylu, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So it's kind of interesting that they've since denied knowing him. It might just be better to come clean, guys. Honestly, if you know the guy, just come clean. Just say that you know him and let people know what your involvement is. Or if you didn't have any involvement, just fess up to that, but don't deny that you know the guy if you are in photos with this guy. It's very obvious that this person played a long con in running this exchange and in getting to know officials. And of course, having his exchange be officially recognized by the Turkish government. So, largest rug pull of last year. People who are looking at all of the other decentralized exchange hacks and bridge hacks, I mean, it's nothing compared to this, right? Yeah. Forever Metalhead says, can we get a link to Sean's content? Can't find on YouTube accounts. YouTube is barely functional lately. Yeah, so New World Crypto, go ahead and use the spelling as you see his account right there. I will go ahead and drop a link into our chat so you can see that. But I'll do that in just a second here. Yeah, you're right. YouTube is barely functional, and it's going to take a minute before you see any content there because New World Crypto on YouTube has not officially launched yet. I thought that the placeholder channel was there, and I thought you could subscribe already, and I thought I was already subscribed. So, Sean, see if you can tell us in the chat where we need to go to be prepared for that. Let us know. Okay, so take a look at that. Bobcat Cannon also gives us an update on the Meta Builders Yeet campaign for tomorrow. Is it DOA or is it a DAO? So help me understand, because I commonly misspell that and write DOA when I mean DAO. But if it's meant to be the DOA Yeet campaign, let me know. We will take a look at that very, very soon. Cover that on Thursday's live stream as well once you have that campaign launched. So excited to see that, guys. Again, support builders, support creators. This is the right time that anybody who's in the market actually building and actually creating, they need your support. You need to be subscribed. You need to be paying attention to updates. You need to be jumping in the Discords and being vocal and active. If there's a DAO, you need to be actively building and providing value. So Paul D says, I'll research these Turkish models. I appreciate that because somebody needs to do it. I appreciate that. And this is a family show, so we will not be doing that here. But yeah. But this character took off, and this has dominated the news cycle, right? So over on Bitcoinist.com, gotcha! Jet and Scylla is also covering this news with Ozer being captured in Albania. It's a big deal, guys. It's a really big deal. Hopefully some of these investors can be made whole. It would be super cool to find that these investors are made whole. It'd be really great. Bobcat is saying that the Meta Builders is launching a YouTube channel as well. Super excited to see that. Bobcat, of course, reach out to me to let me know what I can do to be helpful there. Hit me up on Twitter. We're connected, but would love to be of help if I can. Again, speaking of supporting builders, speaking of supporting those who are in the scene and actively doing, putting in work now, right, for building and creating, let me know. Love to be helpful because you guys are putting in work. Let's see, but an MCon in Denver next week. Oh my gosh, how am I not thinking about MCon in Denver next week? And I have no excuse because I'm driving distance, so I may see you there. We'll see. But that's the news about exploits there. Bitcoin Magazine also has a great article on Iran greenlighting Bitcoin and crypto payments for imports. This is a longer report, and so I will not be doing a deep dive, but some of the top level info is that they've passed legislation establishing a legal framework for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Under this new law, crypto can be used as payment for imports to the country by government and local businesses. And the law addresses fuel supply and electrical consumption for Bitcoin mining. So they're putting what they think are reasonable limits on these things, or at least getting to monitor these aspects of cryptocurrency usage. And it's great to see that that Iran is doing this. This is going to be very important for them, but there will be knock-on effects in terms of the international community's response. right? So Iran is one of those countries that does deal with U.S. sanctions, and so there's going to be some pushback from U.S. officials. There's going to be some pushback from the Five Eyes nations who largely view Iran through the same lens. So we'll see whether or not this is going to help them either work through sanctions. I don't want to use the word evade, but work through sanctions, be able to work more amicably with other countries that are interested in using Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. But this is huge. Most countries who have either been sanctioned or who have had trouble with the United States in the past have gone through the effort of de-dollarizing, right? Limiting their exposure to the volatility of the US dollar and other Western currencies. The toxic loans of the IMF and of other centralized banking institutions, rather IMF and other centralized banks of the international community. This is now a well-established game that first world countries play with developing nations. And so developing nations that are looking towards Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as being a hard crypto or hard asset and hard currency escape hatch from the dollar, they're doing it right, in my opinion. They are. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the politics of Iran, but I definitely agree with this. This is just smart. Tell me what you think in the chat about that news. Are you likely to move to Iran after they've announced this? Shoot, I'm not. Dang. But the point is, I feel like this is going to be a huge benefit to the people of Iran. So probably a very smart move on their part. Paul D says he'll probably not spin up his BTC farm in Iran anytime soon. Well, maybe you should move your Iranian BTC farm out of there. Just saying, Paul D. If you say that your BTC farm in Iran is not going to be spun up, then maybe you should put it somewhere that you can spin it up. Just saying. I mean, that's what Satoshi would do. A DEX accidentally hits the kill switch on mainnet, locking 660,000 USDC inside. Ooh, wrecked. The deployment of a program upgrade went terribly wrong as a fateful Solana program close command stopped Optify's platform indefinitely. They essentially burned over 600,000 USDC. Ouch, wrecked. Decentralized cryptocurrency D Options Exchange cut its own life short after unwittingly executing a command that closed its mainnet program and made it irrecoverable. Optify's program has been closed by mistakes we made. TLDR, we accidentally closed the Optify mainnet program and it's not recoverable. 661,000 USDC. It's locked inside the PDAs. Luckily, 95% of the fund is from our team member. What? We will compensate for all user funds. Yeah, except for your team member. That guy's wrecked. Just destroyed. Okay, so apparently it's kind of a nothing burger here, but at the same time, it does serve to illustrate the fact that decentralized finance is dangerous. It's dangerous freedom. You have the freedom to burn your own funds. You have the freedom to send your funds to a wallet that you don't understand. You have the freedom to, if somebody just sends you a wallet address, to accidentally send it to scammers. You have the freedom to sign transactions or to sign messages that will grant access to your wallets to dangerous people or to people who don't have your best interest in mind. You have the freedom to grant access to websites and to smart contracts that will treat your wallet abusively and steal your funds. There's all kinds of things you can do that will leave you wrecked, that will absolutely give you trouble. And so, yeah, this is just a great illustration of that decentralized finance is dangerous freedom, but it is freedom. So between having freedom and danger and having, safe servitude, I would rather have freedom and danger. Just a little bit. So, yeah, I can't wait to show you guys that footage from the weekend as well. I mean, it should kind of, prove that. Paul D asks, is the team member that whale on Solend? I don't know. It could be. It's entirely possible. You never can tell. That's the other thing when it comes to these kinds of projects, is that you have people who've made so much money from gotten so much alpha, gotten so much upside from their early trades in cryptocurrencies that they kind of have to turn into investors or turn into incubators because they've got so much lying around that you can't just leave it doing nothing. Otherwise, you're going to backslide in your values. You can't even take profits in stables and just leave it around. You have to at least do some kind of stable yield farming. So, yeah. Forever Metalhead says, you are also free to send me all your crypto. Fun fact, I will never sell it. See, guys, see that? Mind Your Biz community coming through. Diamond hands for you. Diamond hands, diamond hands for hire. All you got to do is send all your crypto to somebody in the community, and they'll ensure that it's diamond-handed. They love you that much. They would do that for you. All right. But that's kind of our exploit news for the day. We also got a rug pull on a GameFi project while DeFi protocol suffers massive hack. So, yeah, we got a couple of issues here. It's the Hero Cat token. It's seen its value drop by 99%. Meanwhile, Cream Finance suffered a multi-million-dollar exploit, and Cream stopped the attack by pausing supply and borrow on AMP. So, the play-to-earn game, Hero Cat, it's showing signs of a rug pull. Lost 99% of its value, but play-to-earn, geez. Paul D is saying he wants 30%. He wants 30% stable yield on USDD. So, I don't know. Paul D. Got to start calling him Paul Double D. Got to change your username now. Paul Double D. Paul US Double D. There you go. And we got some other chats coming in. I got jumping back up. New World Crypto, Sean C. says, with the recent ramp up in clampdowns from the government on crypto, i.e. Tornado Cash, I really wish the crypto space would do more to organize politically to help influence legislation. Well, you have Coin Center, and we do have some other groups where you got professional lobbyists who have the proper background, right? They've learned the ropes. They know how to approach Capitol Hill. Some of them are properly credentialed, and so they're taken possibly a little more seriously there. But there are groups that do this. And I think that going class action is going to be a way for us to possibly overcome some of that stuff. But I don't think that Coin Center has been able to follow up on their promise of organizing a class action, like organizing class action against the U.S. Treasury to answer for the OFAC listing of Tornado Cash wallet addresses, contract addresses. But you're right. We should hold them accountable. So maybe we do something like that where we organize, some kind of a signing event, or we organize some kind of a petition, or something else like a GoFundMe where we have that properly pay out to lobbyists, or we form a new group. We find others who can represent us on Capitol Hill. If we think that Coin Center is not doing quite well enough, then we possibly replace them. Coin Center does seem to be doing pretty well. And even the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is an activism group, they've said that they don't like what's happening with Tornado Cash as well. So I think that there is support among the lobby groups, but I think, we need to find a way to help motivate them to act in a more cohesive way to see results, right? Like they're talking about it. It sounds good, but we need results. We need privacy. We need privacy tools, and we need to send a very clear message to the government, like you're saying, that they can't just be abusive towards the basic necessities that we have in cryptocurrency and DeFi. But so Hero Cat taking a dump. Is that really a shock? No. Guys, play to earn games are already a huge risk. So to see the value drop like that, not shocked. Not one bit. But let's talk about what happens when we start to see all these hacks, when we start to see all of these exploits, when we start to see problems with rug pulls, when we start to see the founders of exchanges steal billions of dollars of value, we start to see not just abuse from government saying, well, that means that all of these other things are bad because a criminal could potentially use them. Well, yes and no, right? Criminals do use things, but the FBI starts to make recommendations. Slow clap. All right, FBI, what do you got for us? Well, the FBI has recommended a couple of things. They say that you should implement the following measures to protect your assets. Do thorough research of DeFi platforms, protocols, and smart contracts before deciding on your investments, and remain aware of the specific risks involved in those investments. Ensure that the selected DeFi investment platforms have carried out one or more code audits commissioned from independent auditors. Stay alert to DeFi investment pools with highly limited timeframes to join and swift deployments of smart contracts, in particular without the recommended code audit. And then remain aware of the potential risk related to crowdsourced solutions to vulnerability identification and patching, right? So they're saying if you're waiting for your community to tell you that there's some kind of vulnerability, then you're not putting in enough proactive work to know whether or not there are risks in your code base. And if you're waiting for the community to offer patches to your code base, it's not secure enough to hold millions or billions of dollars worth of value. Is it weird that I'm going to agree with the FBI in this case? The FBI's kind of got it right. We need to be doing more thorough vetting of DeFi platforms. And it's going to be harder and harder to do with code auditing firms like Certic being backed up for months or in some cases over a year in order to get code audits done. And there aren't many other alternatives. Shout out to the Sherpa over on Twitter. You know who you are. But he's proposed a solution that I really think is important. And yeah, this is me publicly voicing my support for additional entrance into the code auditing space, because that's the biggest bottleneck in what the FBI is suggesting investors need to do. It sounds good, right? Like, oh yeah, make sure these projects have code audits. Cool story, FBI. Where do we find auditors? We're running out of intelligent people who have time to be able to audit projects. And because we're running out of people, the market, the supply and demand, is making code audits prohibitively expensive for small community projects, right? So if you have a project that's starting out with, totally grassroots with only, say, a few dozen thousands of dollars, right? You're not starting with a budget of, say, $2 or $3 or $5 million, then you may struggle to be able to secure a code audit from any firm, let alone a top tier firm that claims to do a really thorough job. And worse, if those top tier firms are offering audits at a certain price, it's very likely that they're cutting corners in order to offer that price, if that makes sense. So we're running out of intelligent people, right? Qualified people to conduct these code audits, and the prices for good code audits is going up astronomically. So we've got kind of an issue. Forever Metalhead brings up a great point here, says the government should be shut down. Criminals are using it. He's right. The US dollar should be shut down too, because criminals are using it all over the world. I don't know if you guys have heard that before, but yeah, criminals they like US dollar bills. Can't have that. But yeah, the FBI, I totally agree with their initial assessment there. At the same time, the FBI cautions DeFi platforms to take the following precautions. Implement real-time analytics, monitoring and rigorous testing of code to allow quicker identification of vulnerabilities, and reply to indicators of suspicious activity. Now, that begs the question, what is suspicious activity according to the FBI? We'll see. Develop and implement incident response plans that involve alerting investors of smart contract exploitation, vulnerabilities, and other detected suspicious activities. Yeah, I don't know that anybody in DeFi disagrees with this. It's pretty straightforward and it seems like common sense, but the issue is a lack of time and financial resources. So it sounds really good, but we need more good smart contract auditing firms. We need new smart contract auditing firms. We need better KYC systems. And we probably do need something of a de facto digital ID for those KYC systems. For developer teams that want to remain semi-anonymous or pseudonymous, they probably do need to dox to whoever is auditing their smart contracts. And or maybe that needs to be entirely separated from the audit, because then there can be collusion with the auditors. But we do need to have better systems and better services in place for these early vetting processes, for sure. Tell me in the chat, do you know any great Solidity developers? Can you forward me their info? If so, please do so over on Twitter. My DMs are open. And of course, Telegram as well. If you're abusive, of course, there's always the block button, but I don't think anybody here is. So let me know as soon as you find somebody that can assist in that way. Just to reinforce that news item, Blockworks also reported on the FBI's warning and its open source developments, specifically the warning. So it's detailed various DeFi hacks and exploits faced by the cryptocurrency industry over the last year, and then talks about due diligence, the steps that we mentioned before. So the FBI, their official account, right, the public service announcement is that announcement. I'm a little bit tired, guys. You know, I can take a little juice break here. There you go. Mind your biz. I'm juicing live. But not the way you like. Ay. And yeah, Mind Your Biz is a little bit of a Traposaurus today. Traposaurus Rex. Yeah, something about Vegas. You never sleep. So the FBI warns that cybercriminals are increasingly exploiting vulnerabilities in decentralized finance platforms to steal investors' cryptocurrency. Contact your local FBI field office or IC3. Latrell says, I have that same cup. Yeah, man. Yetis are great. Wait, was this Yeti? Yeah. The Yeti it's pretty great, man. Honestly, this thing is, I've been out in 20 degree weather. I'm not like sub-zero weather, but been out below freezing. And I've had a little bit of green tea, stay perfectly hot for like a couple hours. These things are amazing. I don't know what they put in them. It's whatever is between those two layers has got to cause cancer because it's way too good at an insulator. You know what I mean? Like there's no way that it's like not asbestos or something in there. So, but they've got their great graphic. Hey, bravo FBI graphics team. Because you guys you're the real MVPs. But public service announcement, alert number, et cetera, et cetera. Cyber criminals increasingly exploit vulnerabilities in decentralized finance platforms to obtain cryptocurrency, causing investors to lose money. That's smart. They do need to be focused in this area. And, you heard me say it on a recent live stream that if you think that there is a real exploit, a real criminal problem, then there are resources for that. You don't just have to go onto social media and be like, hey, I think there's a problem. That does help. Responsible disclosure does help. But if there is an actual crime being committed, we do have law enforcement still that works in this country. And we can get them to work on some of these things that matter to us. And we can direct their efforts in the correct direction, right? Like we can actually get them focusing on the real problems. That's another way that we can use our collective brain power, right, and lobbying power to affect change in cryptocurrency markets. Is instead of letting them go after whatever, like stupid little crimes, we can try to get the FBI focused on stuff that actually affects us on a regular basis. And DeFi is one of those areas that affects us pretty well. Hold on a second. There you go. All right. Got a little like auto centering, algorithm there. But additional news, top execs from Genesis and Galaxy are raising a $500 million fund. All right, here's the top of the news here. So there's an SEC filing that proves it. They're looking to raise about $500 million, and both these trading firms are dealing with a collapse of crypto hedge funds, or Three Arrows Capital. Go away. Get out of here. All right, the block. There we go, dark mode. You're welcome. So Three Arrows Capital, that collapse hasn't entirely got them down and out. I'm excited to see that they're rebuilding, that they're attempting to bring new funding into the market. What do you think of this? Three Arrows Capital collapse. How long do you think it's going to take for the industry to be made whole? I'm projecting it won't be until the beginning of the next bull run when we start to see new investor capital flood into the markets and see the FOMO of retail. But even that's going to take some time. And there are reasons for that taking the time that I think it's going to take, but in large part because we're going to start seeing the proper collapse of markets. We're about to see these markets bleed out. Real estate, commodities, stocks. I think we're going to finally start seeing that the market begins to purge itself of toxic debt, and we're going to start seeing prices correct. But just a hunch, right? I mean, maybe it's wishful thinking, but I think we're going to see that relatively soon. One of the canaries in the coal mine is Robert Kiyosaki. He is calling for this, but he's been calling for that for almost 10 years, since 2013, that there would be some kind of a massive correction or massive crash. And I mean, he wasn't wrong. We have been seeing serious problems. I think in large part, the fog felt around the world is one of the ways in which government tried to hide an economic illness in this country and in most of the rest of the developed world. But 3AC Ethereum address, something that's associated with Three Arrows Capital, apparently just moved 10,000 Ethereum on exchange. And this is Armand kind of speculating as to potentially why that happened, but I'm not going to worry too much about why it happened. The fact that it happened is disturbing, right? So Three Arrows Capital is still rearranging some of their debts and trying to restructure that, so they can possibly get beyond their current financial picture. So AMD and NVIDIA are going to slash their prices by September or in September. But let's read this a little bit more in depth. Do you think that this is going to matter? Do you think this is only going to apply to new GPUs? What is this going to do to the used GPU market? This is, by the way, why I haven't been buying yet. Just wanted to wait and see. We haven't felt max pain in the used GPU markets, least of all in the used mining GPU markets. And I mean, no offense, but if you have weak hands, I want to buy your GPUs. We've seen this in the previous cycle, saw people who were just ready to give up, and that's fine, but they either liquidated too early or they didn't liquidate at the right time, right? Like either their GPUs or their mining profits. So we'll be taking a look at that in just a minute here, but let's do a deep dive in the article itself. So AMD and NVIDIA are about to sell like hotcakes, or will they? It's a good question. They're supposed to be reducing the prices of their GPUs further in order to liquidate any remaining stock. Not only were video game consoles affected by stock shortages as a result of the worldwide health crisis, but so were many other products. The same is true for desktop PC owners looking to improve their hardware. For the PC gaming sector, the arrival of current generation GPUs, including the 5000 and 6000 series by AMD and the 30 series line from NVIDIA, has been agonizing, they say. Scalpers, thank you so much. This is from Bitcoinist.com, and they acknowledge that the biggest problem was scalpers. And at that time, I was attempting to do retail arbitrage on Amazon, and I did successfully run a retail arbitrage operation. Just it paled in comparison to the results within crypto. You'd be a fool to continue focusing on retail arbitrage at only, say, a 300% margin, which is not bad, but versus a cryptocurrency arbitrage business or trading business or earnings business in just investing, where you can do far better than 300%. So I dropped that like a hot potato. But I remember being in the retail arbitrage scene and building up an Amazon store that people who were originally flipping like sneakers and say weights during the whole health crisis, they switched almost entirely to tech, and especially GPUs if they could find them, because the profits were so good. They just knew they would sell anything they could get their hands on, so the money was extremely good. So I'm glad to see that they placed the blame correctly on the scalpers. It wasn't just the health crisis, for sure. But apparently, there'll be a markdown on new units in September, which is kind of cool, right? Considering that there are current prices for GPUs listed on whattomine.com that I think reflect the used price. Being able to see the new price, possibly even below that, is exciting, right? Like, I would love to get a brand new in-box unit as opposed to a used unit for the same thing. But apparently there will also be new GPUs released. So they will have to reduce prices in order to get people into the newer GPUs at the top of the line prices. Forever Metalhead said, or invested too early on GPUs. Damn it. Yeah, not wrong, right? A lot of people did buy it. And I think that I was issuing a warning at the right time. Let me know if maybe I've helped you in this last bull run and now this impending profit breakdown. I'd love to know that I helped somebody else in that way. I know that a lot of people chose not to mine Chia at the time that I started sounding the whistle there, sounding the warning there. Did I help you with your GPU mining operation? Did I help you right-size that? I'd love to hear it. But new GPUs coming out. One of the arguments against the cryptocurrency market is that mining consumes an absurd amount of electricity. According to The Verge, the Ethereum Foundation intends to fix this issue. Well, it's debatable. It really is debatable. Do check out the crypto magazine. Can't really give too much of a preview here. I don't want to give a spoiler away, but Crypto Magazine issue 4 is going to have I think it's going to be a banger article written by yours truly. But it has to do with this topic. Whoa. Dogecoin co-founder rejects $14 million offer to boost image of Dogechain. I'm going to take a look at that. Sheesh. So both AMD's Radeon 7000 GPUs and NVIDIA's GeForce 40 series are anticipated to be released later this year, maybe in October. So we'll see. Yeah, I think that the play here, if the rumor is true that the newer generation cards are going to be released in October, it seems like the obvious play is to wait for those to be announced, for them to be released, and for them to hit shelves, right? Then we'll know for sure that the 3000 series cards the 30 series GeForce cards, and then the 5 and 6000 series AMD cards, they should be on their highest sale at that point. Somewhere between October and November, probably before Black Friday, though. But if there's still any kind of inventory that needs to be blown out, maybe it will be a Black Friday special. Maybe it'll be a Christmas miracle that the markets return to the correct level of profit, and we see the best possible prices for GPUs. I'd love to see it. You tell me, would you buy if you thought that the current generation of GPUs could be discounted even more? I think I'm going to wait. I think I'm actually going to wait. I don't think I want a 40 series GeForce card. I think that the 30 series 3090 Ti is probably going to do it for me. But who knows? Maybe my opinion will be swayed by new benchmarks coming out of the newer releases. Oh, man. Okay, we've got some very, very interesting news at this point. This was not something I intended to cover before, but apparently Billy Marcus, one of Dogecoin's founders, can't be bought with money, even if it's, say, $14 million. Dogechain, a relatively new digital currency that's making some noise in the crypto industry, sought the outspoken infotech developer, to promote the blockchain project. Dogechain is designed to bridge the gap between the meme coin and Web3. A Twitter user with the handle #RepeatAfterV made Marcus's rejection of the offer public. The user said that Marcus, who co-created the first meme coin with Jackson Palmer, declined an offer to tweet about and perhaps boost the image of Dogechain. According to the Twitter user, Marcus's refusal to accept the offer was evidence of his unwillingness to, air quotes, betray the Doge community. Consequently, his acts merited the highest regard from the Dogecoin community. In response to the tweet, Marcus reminded the community that he had not become wealthy by developing the crypto. He stated that he was even occasionally accused of advocating pump and dump scams on the cryptocurrency market. The creators of Dogecoin claimed they developed a dog-themed altcoin to poke fun at Bitcoin, the top cryptocurrency in terms of market capitalization and popularity. Yeah. A member of the Dogecoin Foundation, Jens Vickers, clarified that Dogechain is an unofficial initiative unaffiliated with the popular meme coin or its creators. Claims in the media that Dogecoin launched a test network called Dogechain are untrue. The token is not related with Dogecoin, its developers, or anybody involved with the Dogecoin Foundation. Shortly after Dogecoin's inception, Marcus left. However, he is still active on Twitter and tweets regularly about his creation and the crypto sector in general. It's interesting that this is what's being made public now. Yeah. Paul D is asking, so his refusal of an endorsement should be seen as an endorsement? I'm not sure I follow their logic. This is the thing about maximalism, is that, yeah, maximalism is characterized, and tribalism is characterized not just by what you choose to follow or what you choose to endorse, but what you choose to deny publicly, right? So it would be like, for example, somebody who is a representative. This is a terrible example. So a representative of the Church of Satan saying, well, who's standing in front of a giant statue of the Baphomet, right? Like giant goat man. And saying, yes, well, we would never believe in Buddha. Like, I can't stand giant images of Buddha. And then Christians saying, like, well, see, he's not Buddhist. I know what you mean. It is weird. It's weird, but it's the so-called enemy of my enemy being my friend. It's not an implicit endorsement of Dogecoin. It's just a denial that he ever endorsed Doge chain. Weird. Very weird. And he says, do the Doge chain people know that Doge has a chain already? I think they do, but what Doge doesn't have is an EVM. So I think the Doge chain is meant to be an EVM that lends some kind of EVM type utility. We'll see how it turns out, right? Always a long shot. Definitely a long shot. Forever Metalhead says, I want to buy all the 3060 Ti EVGAs I can at the time. Yeah, to me are solid cards, especially EVGA. Yes. 3060 Ti, we've been saying, here on the channel, been saying that the 3060 Ti is the performance that I was expecting from a 3060. And so I'm glad that they launched that additional designator, the 3060 Ti. Something they've never done before with the 60 series card is have a Ti. So it's weird that became a thing this time around. I mean, in the 20 series, right, having the super designation, like I really feel like NVIDIA kind of lost the plot after the RTX models launched. It was like, dude, it feels like every model gets a Ti now and or a super as well. I'm not really sure what that means. Just make it simple. Like, streamline the SKU count. Have there be like 4 or 5 main models and then 1 or 2 Ti models that represents, ultra high performance or something. But like, in my mind, it's kind of confusing. I wish they would make it a lot simpler, personally. Just for my preference. But let's jump back into our news, guys. There's actually so Latrell, let's get a super Ti, right? It's just it's the RTX Super Ti. Actually, it's the Mega Super. It's the ultra super Ti. My gosh. Yeah. Paul D says, NVIDIA wants everyone to have their own SKU. Yeah, that's your serial number is your SKU. That's the new version of NVIDIA models now. We'll call it the Super Ti. That's the other thing. You can't call it a Ti anymore. You got to call it a Ti. So it's the Ti or Ti. The Super Titanium. No, I didn't mean that. It's just crazy. But Crypto.com sues a user after refunding him $10 million instead of 100. They had a rounding error when they were sending out a payment. But here's the thing about crypto. As said before, it is dangerous freedom, which means even platforms like Crypto.com are free to send somebody $10 million when they meant to only send 100. So 2 sisters in Melbourne reportedly used the erroneous $10 million to buy a luxurious mansion. A judge has ordered the property to be sold and the funds returned to Crypto.com. Well, the jig is up, sisters. That was your first mistake, was rendering unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. You took something that was crypto and you liquidated it to go get things. So you just got your reward, a court order to give it all back. Had you kept it in cryptocurrency, you could have told them all to pound sand because there was no way for them to force you to give it back. Is this me being subversive? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I don't really mean that, right? I don't mean you should go out and damage other investors on Crypto.com by not returning funds that aren't yours. But you could have. You could have much more easily done it if you had left it in crypto. That's just the reality, guys. Crypto's really great because it's dangerous freedom. Real estate, not so much. There can be a lien placed on your home. And other financial instruments, not so much. They're controlled by the state. So you figure out what you value more: riches or permissionlessness, right? Decentralization, censorship resistance. Ancient Bitcoin wallet reactivates another 5,000 Bitcoin. Reason and destination yet unknown. Guys, this is huge. We're seeing wallets from forever ago. There we go. That's actually a lot better. Less than 24 hours after an ancient Bitcoin wallet moved over 5,000 Bitcoin to a yet-to-be-known Bitcoin address, another Bitcoin transfer from a similar ancient wallet has also been spotted. These are 7 to 9 year old wallets that have been totally dormant, and they've moved thousands of coins. So, yeah, what does it actually mean? Nobody really knows what that means, but it is over 11,000 Bitcoin that's being moved. It could just be somebody right-sizing their wallets. It could just be somebody starting the process of separating their coins or creating a post mix for their savings. But there you go. This is what they say. Historically, analysts have timed the spike in activity of ancient wallets to when Bitcoin is about to make a significant move. So now we're finally at the real point of this article. So it's exciting to see that level of activity, and it does validate what I've been saying, or what I suspect with the chopsticks will be a continuation of the downtrend. I think that this is probably one of the last previews that we get of on-chain activity before we see another dip, and likely before we hit this chopstick. I think that we are going to follow this trend within these bounds. And so I do think we're going to see that value buy range pretty soon. That blue line that we talked about earlier, it's going to happen pretty darn soon. Paul D says, somebody have a pet quantum computer that can find SHA-256 collisions or something? That would be just amazing. A pet quantum computer with enough qubits of processing power that we can do SHA-256 collisions. I don't know about that, but I mean, you could just do hash cracking, and it's just more a question of time on task than anything else. The quantum computer helps you decrease the time. The overall hash power gives you the ability to do it brute force, right? And I know that we talk about it taking a long time, but brute forcing a seed phrase, brute forcing a password, it's still just a function of having enough compute power, even just with GPUs. So, or with ASIC mining rigs, and then being able to turn them towards, instead of contributing to the net hash of Bitcoin, having them contribute to your own hash cracking efforts. This is entirely possible. And I'm just going to say it openly. I think there are groups doing this right now. I think there are groups doing this right now with Satoshi's wallets, or toward Satoshi's wallets. It's going to be very difficult for them to be able to do it. And beyond that, Satoshi's wallets were created at a time when BIP39 was not a thing. So a seed phrase is not really what they need to crack, right? They would actually need some kind of reasonable physical access to the hard drives where Satoshi's wallets are stored, or they may think that they have it. And then they would have to be able to brute force the password to those wallets. So hash cracking would be I think, the biggest hurdle to gaining access to Satoshi's wallets, not a SHA-256 collision, and not a full seed phrase guess. So, yeah, I think that there's quite a bit that's going on with early whale wallets, where if people are finding them on old hard drives, even just buying up hard drives in bulk from a certain time frame and a certain region, that we may see some crazy things happen on the Bitcoin network very soon because of that. But yeah, I think that on-chain activity is probably going to be correlated with a move into our value buy range. I'm excited to see it. I hope it happens. I really hope it happens, guys. That value buy range there would be amazing to start picking up some Bitcoin. All this DCA range is fine, but this value buy range, this is where we win if we want great returns on Bitcoin. In my opinion, not financial advice, yada, 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 red screen, not trying to tell you what to do with your money, but you get it. Anyway, Excited to see that on-chain movement, though. There we go. Let's jump into that AVAX news. This is something that I wanted to talk to you about as well, and I will be snipping this out of the video to then put onto the Mind Your Biz channel separately. This is why I'm doing some of these news articles now, because it's also water under the bridge. This is not something that we will necessarily be talking about in a couple of days from now, so need to talk to you about it now. Appreciate you being here live with me to talk about all of the news, because it's been an absolute crazy week or two. And then the last couple of days, crazier still. But Avalanche, if you haven't heard about this news, now you're going to get the full top to bottom review of what's happening. There was a report that apparently ruffled feathers about a lawyer named Kyle Roche and Ava Labs forming a so-called secret pact to damage their rivals. Somebody said that all the videos passed their analysis, or a digital media forensics expert passed their analysis as real videos. They weren't staged and they weren't deep faked. But Ava Labs CEO Emin Gun Sirer is hitting back at claims of engaging in a secret pact to harm AVAX competitors with his lawyer, Kyle Roche. And it bears mentioning, oh, there it is. Yeah, Crypto Leaks. We'll pull that up. Gonna show the Crypto Leaks article here. But in the Crypto Leaks article, they talked about how Ava Labs and Avalanche and Roche Friedman, the law firm, how they worked together to secretly harm other competitors. This is the character, Kyle Roche. Roche Friedman, it widely sues people in crypto, currently running at least 25 class actions, including against Binance and other Ava Labs competitors like Solana Labs, Dfinity for internet, of internet computer fame, and others, but large cap projects like Solana Labs and Dfinity. They have more than 30 lawyers. Kyle Roche is a founding partner. That's why it has his name. But they go on for several secret videos here to show a hidden camera talking to this guy. It's pretty amazing. But I'll put that in our chat. This will be available in the description of this video. I want you to be able to read that at your own leisure. We will not go through it entirely, not blow by blow, here on this in this segment. But to cut to the chase, the TLDR is that Ava Labs may have secretly colluded with this law firm and with Kyle Roche to bring class action lawsuits against their competitors. Now, why does it matter that it's a class action lawsuit? Well, it matters because in a class action lawsuit, he can make allegations about their conduct that are protected as free speech, meaning that he can make spurious claims about the sorts of activities that Solana Labs and that Dfinity is engaged in. And if you were to publish those in, say, a journal, a news journal, if I were to say them on this video, say something very inflammatory, and I'm saying this as an example, to say something like, well, Solana Labs, it's run entirely by vampires, and their blockchain, instead of using a proof of stake mechanism, it uses a proof of blood, a proof of blood sucking mechanism. It's a silly thing to say. It's obviously a joke when I say it. But if a news journalist were to write that and say it seriously, it would be considered some kind of slander, right? Or libel. Or if they were to say the leader of Solana Labs is a literal vampire or a literal, child diddler. If they were to make a claim like that, it would be totally considered libelous, a libelous claim, and causing and defamatory. In a class action lawsuit, you can say something like that and say we're bringing class action against this group because we believe that they are run by a child diddling vampire, right? Who is also some kind of an alien serpent. You can say that in a class action lawsuit, and it will be recorded. And further, because you're bringing class action against this group, you go into a discovery process that allows you to peer into their finances. It is one of the craziest anti-competitive tools that you can use, but it's used commonly in other industries. And Roche Friedman, it's believed, is using this as a competitive tool to help Ava Labs to discover the financial status of their competitors, potentially even pull money away from their competitors on behalf of the class action participants, and then also to be able to seed defamatory comments about their competitors in a legally protected way, so that other news journals and various other videos can say what they want, can use that same language to describe their competitors and take their PR standing down a notch. It's secretly brilliant if that's what they're doing. But now they're starting to deny that that's what they're doing. Okay, that took a little while to lay out, but you're picking up what I'm throwing down? That they're using the legal system to like kind of strike a blow at their competitors. And I think it's kind of brilliant, but it's obviously really underhanded, right? Latrell says, I like this kind of mind your biz content. Paul D also says, Soul uses puppy blood consensus confirmed on Mind Your Biz stream. I know, right? That's why you guys come here, because I confirm all the important stuff, right? Like, yeah, I know y'all want to know about block times and transactional throughput. Doesn't matter when you got people like these sickos clubbing baby seals. So, yeah. So they say we can reveal that the PAC directs Roche Friedman and their leader Kyle Roche to 1. Use the American legal system gangster style to attack and harm crypto organizations and projects that might compete with Ava Labs or Avalanche in some way. 2. Sue crypto industry actors, generally with the aim of creating magnets for regulators such as the SEC and CFTC to distract them from the highly commercial nature of Ava Labs and the Avalanche blockchain. And 3, secretly pursue Emin Gün Sirer's personal vendettas against individuals. So they think it's a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Malicious than what I've said. I think it's just a competitive, a competitive posture. They're trying to be aggressively competitive using the legal system. But yeah, here on cryptoleaks.info, they are claiming that it's more personal than that. It's more malicious. It's more, they've made it much more targeted in that way. And they say, as usual, CryptoLeaks brings you the hard evidence that nobody else can obtain. We explain with the help of words spoken by Emin Gün Sirer's own lawyer, Kyle Roche. It's pretty great what they have here. Let's
so I start my law firm August, move into the co-working space August 1, 2019. The same day Ava Labs launches on the same co-working space. Goon and I knew each other because of academic writing. And so Goon, immediately the first thing, Emin Gün Sirer is the CEO of Ava Labs.
Yeah. So apparently something that's a little more disturbing in my mind is that this guy, Kyle Roche, he's set up to receive 100% of origination fees. So any additional work done by this firm, Roche Friedman, this specific dude gets all of the proceeds, right? So it's not just like a percentage, it's all of it. Every additional bit of work that's done by the firm, this guy benefits from. So pretty crazy. Let's see. Paul D said they're saying he's evil, but also petty. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much evil and petty. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Forever Metalhead says he also says that they live together. Yeah, apparently they co-sleep together. Wait, that's what co-working means, right? Co-working space? It means co-sleeping space for sure. No, they were in an office. So, but apparently he was the very first person to have a shot at the Ava Labs stock directly after Andreessen and Horowitz. So yeah, it's pretty intense, guys. The rabbit hole is pretty deep here. I don't want to go too far into this, but I did post the article and I'd like you to take a full look at it. CryptoLeaks has not changed it just yet. And they have so many little quotes from Kyle Roche that I think they're pretty damning. I mean, I went through this and realized that it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to backpedal from this. At this point, some of the folks in question, right? It's like Gun, they're trying to recant, but it's going to be impossible, right? Like, cat's out of the bag. So it's interesting they're trying to make that change now. But back on Blockworks, they are denying it. So he's hitting back against claims of engaging in a secret pact and the crypto leaks, which I published down in the live chat, and I'll have in the description of the video after we go live. The series of videos kind of shows that he was granted 1% of the supply of Avalanche. First off, that's an unbelievable amount. Yeah, so Forever Metalhead says, I'd like to see the full uncut version. I don't believe they published the full uncut version. And they clearly went out to two different locations. So you have the footage of him in an office and you have the footage of him out at dinner, right? So very clearly.
I think
everything done right? All good?
yeah, it's something. It's probably a competitor to AVAX.
Yes, it is.
That guy sounds like Dutch, doesn't he? That accent. I'm sorry, I'm going to totally dox the team that did this. He did the voice changer to try to like hide his voice, but it's so obvious that he may be Dutch. I don't know. He could be Swiss, but yeah, sounds Dutch to me anyway. Yeah. I think he's Dutch though, probably. Definitely Nordic, but yeah, all this stuff I don't think actually results in a full uncut version or a link to a full uncut version. So yeah, this is crazy. But yeah, CryptoLeaks has become probably my new favorite. Probably my new favorite website in general. I sincerely hope they can keep it up. But yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to. And this one in particular probably ruffled the most feathers, for sure. But Blockworks. Yeah, CryptoLeaks claimed that Ava and law firm Roche Friedman wanted to use the American legal system gangster style to chase rival crypto firms, would subsequently turn regulatory attention to them. So, and I can appreciate that. Again, it is brilliant from a competitive standpoint to try to get the SEC and other regulatory bodies focused on your enemies and not on you. But this is crypto. Why not just create a permissionless, decentralized protocol instead? And instead of having a centralized authority that regulatory bodies can attack, just don't have one, right? Isn't that kind of the point of cryptocurrencies, is to avoid having a centralized point of failure, avoid having a centralized choke point, avoid having any kind of organizational body that can be subject to regulatory scrutiny or legal scrutiny? Seems like kind of a missed opportunity to me. But maybe I just believe too much in those principles of decentralization. Maybe I've got it all wrong. But reacting in a blog post on Monday, Cyrus suggests that Roche's statements in the videos were untruthful and designed to dazzle a potential client. These claims evidently came about when Roche, a lawyer at a firm we retained in the early days of our company, tried to impress a potential business partner by making false claims about the nature of his work for Ava Labs, Syra wrote. So he's trying to completely walk this back and say, oh, that was early in our relationship, and he's probably trying to impress somebody else. Why would he say that? That's not true. But it just seems like it's too specific, and it does follow some real class action lawsuits that this firm has, and they do actually own 1% of the Avalanche coin supply, and they do actually have stock in Ava Labs, and he does actually get 100% of the origination fees for any future work that's ever done between Roche Friedman and Ava Labs. That's public record. You can look that up. There's no denying that. But yeah, his statements, who knows, maybe. CoinGecko lists AVAX's total supply at 409 million, which means 1% would equate to nearly 4.1 million AVAX, $83 million. Ava Labs' valuation is unknown at this time. Apart from Roche's statements, allegations made by CryptoLeaks are categorically false, he added. AVAX fell 26% after publication of the secret pact report. The token is down 81% so far this year at $20. Neither I nor anyone else at Ava Labs ever directed Roche in his selection of cases. We do not receive materials or information from him, and we do not entrust our legal affairs to him, Cyrer wrote, adding that Roche has represented Ava Labs only in a defensive capacity in ordinary disputes. The alleged pact didn't specify that Roche would bring lawsuits against other parties on behalf of Ava Labs itself. Roche Friedman has sued a string of crypto companies, including Solana, Binance, Buybox, BitNEX, and KuCoin, over allegations of offering crypto assets which were unregistered securities. The firm also represented Ira Kleiman in his lawsuit against Craig Wright, having recently secured a $100 million judgment for Kleiman. Earlier this year, Roche Friedman was on the other side of the table after former partner Paul Fatarusso sued the firm for denying compensation and equity interest. He reportedly claimed Roche Friedman removed him from a partnership and deprived him of 2% share in a $250 million crypto fee the firm received for legal services provided to an unnamed startup. Some pundits have questioned the integrity of CryptoLeaks allegations and questioned whether it's funded by an Avalanche competitor, alluding to its two previous reports, which leaned towards Internet Computer. So it's fair to ask these questions, right? It is fair to ask whether or not the outlet that makes these allegations is funded by a competitor, right? It sort of feeds the intrigue, right? It fuels the sort of like espionage and sabotage narrative. So we're at that phase, though, right? We have these companies that are directing billions of dollars in value. I mean, this is similar to the gross domestic output of, or the gross domestic product of small countries. And you've got a little company that's in charge of this. Of course, there's going to be espionage. Of course, there's going to be sabotage. I mean, there may literally be like, like economic hitmen or PR hitmen out there trying to take down their competitors, or worse. Right? Or worse. We can imagine that there could be worse. Yeah, Paul D. Quotes the article, is a lawyer at a law firm. How do you usually refer to a founding partner of a law firm? I don't know. That's a tough one, right? Writing is hard. Words are hard. Is that at the very beginning? Jeez. Yeah, a lawyer at a firm we retained. All right, it is interesting though. It does beg the question. Yeah, are they funded by ICP or by Dfinity? Evidence was corroborated by hand positions at the presence of objects such as glasses. All videos past our analysis is real videos. Liu from where? Digital media forensics expert Seaway Liu. So yeah, I believe that too. I believe that. Kobe, wow. Things that discredit CryptoLeaks: fan fiction style dramatic writing, worse than tabloids, clearly bad faith and biased reporting, paying to promote their own tweets, their previous defensive ICP articles, things that look bad for Ava Labs, the video, lol. He's right though, man. So yeah, the actual news outlet itself, CryptoLeaks, does look a little bit off. That's the only way I can put it. It doesn't look quite right. You know what I mean? But yeah, this video is pretty bad. It's really pretty bad. But yeah, I too would like to see the entire video uncut. Maybe we can see that in the near future, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Web3 game developer Xterio raises $40 million in a SAFT sale. Now, what is a SAFT? Oh, maybe they explain it here. But SAFT, if you're not familiar with it, it's a little bit like early rounds of priced equity in tech startups. SAFE, right? Simple agreement for future equity. Well, a SAFT is a simple agreement for future tokens. And this is an important instrument in crypto investing and in crypto startup investing. It's the sort of thing that groups like Dfinity and like Ava Labs would have issued to A16Z or to Andreessen Horowitz or to these other guys at Roche Friedman. They would have received a SAFT, requiring them to lock up tokens or requiring them to wait for the distribution of tokens until a certain period of time had passed. So future tokens, they don't get them right away. They can't market dump them if they don't have them, but they are promised to receive these tokens. So SAFT is a pretty important document. It's a kind of a document that groups like Roche Friedman would be involved in writing up if they, if they're purely focused on cryptocurrency stuff. So Web3 game developer Exterio, they've got $40 million and a $300 million valuation. Wow. Okay. The funding was raised via SAFT sale, and Exterio co-founder Jeremy Horn, talked to them about it. So yeah, very interesting. I'm not interested in what Exterio is building just yet. We'll see if they do make good on that $40 million turning into anything. And we'll see if that projection for their value at $300 million plays out. Could be that, they fall short. Could be that it's not ultimately worth $300 million. But yeah, I'm glad to see that money is going in. The capital is flowing into these markets, or investment capital is flowing into these markets. I'm glad to see that anybody who's building in the metaverse ecosystem or Web3 is getting funding. It's super important, right? So kudos to them. In decentralization news and in cryptocurrency adoption news, I'm super excited about this. The Argentine province of Mendoza is going to accept stablecoins for tax payments. So this is another Argentine city. It accepts crypto for taxes. Going for cryptocurrencies could be a possibility to lower the inflation. I apologize. I didn't write this stuff, and I'm not gonna rewrite it on the fly for free. The President Alberto Fernandez stated his openness to crypto last year, but here you go. It's playing out. They're actually getting the adoption that they want. They'll allow roughly 2 million residents to pay taxes and fees using stablecoins like Tether and DAI using crypto wallets. So let's see. No, not going to show there. What I'd like to see is a full press release. There you go. Mendoza government hacían paso a paso para pagar impuestos provinciales y tasas con criptomonedas. Let's see this. Can see if I can do an on-the-fly translation. And we could just run this through Google Translate. That would totally be doable. And let me put that into reader mode for you for your viewing pleasure. All right. Criptomonedas Prensa, Gobierno de Mendoza. So this is the press release of the government of Mendoza. So step by step to pay taxes, provincial taxes with cryptocurrencies. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and convert the entire thing if I can. So, man. I'm being really lazy. Sorry, guys. I'm being really, really lazy. A través del botón Paga Online, mendoza.gov.ar, los contribuyentes ya pueden abonar los impuestos y tasas con criptomonedas. Conoce el paso a paso para realizar el pago con este nuevo servicio. So I learned the step-by-step to do this payment with this new service. La Administración Tributaria Mendoza, so the name of their sort of tax service is called the Mendoza Tribute Administration, or ATM. Ha sumado una nueva facilidad de pago para las obligaciones tributarias a través del botón Paga Online dentro del sitio, ATM Mendoza. Los contribuyentes pueden abonar los impuestos provinciales y tasas a través de criptomonedas. It's pretty straightforward. There's a button for pay online, pay online for your taxes. And you can, at this point, you can use cryptocurrencies. That's begun now. Este nuevo servicio es parte del objetivo estratégico de modernización e innovación que lleva adelante la Administración Tributaria Mendoza a efectos que los contribuyentes tengan distintos medios para cumplir con sus obligaciones tributarias. So yeah, they're trying to modernize their tax payment system. I'm summarizing at this point, guys. Just going to summarize. Es importante destacar que la empresa prestataria del servicio de pago online realiza la conversión de criptomonedas a pesos y al contribuyente se le entrega la constancia de pago correspondiente. So, yeah, I think probably so they have a conversion from cryptocurrencies to pesos. De esta manera, la administración le ingresa el monto en pesos del impuesto abonado. So, yeah, interesting. They have to do the conversion. And so they're doing the conversion right there. And your cryptocurrencies are, they're denominated in US dollar values. So having that conversion happen on the fly, it could be that there's also a bit of an arbitrage that they're doing here to say like, oh yeah, pay your taxes in, denominated in pesos. And there's a tiny little rounding error. So in El Salvador, when El Salvador became a dollarized country, this is part of the pushback that El Salvador had when moving to Bitcoin, was that they still remembered this. Adults in El Salvador still remembered this. But when it was first becoming a dollarized country and moving away from just the El Salvadorian, was it the Colón? No, not the Colón. Bolivar. So los bolívares salvadoreños, their currency at the time, which I think was a bolivar, it was not called a dollar, but their native currency, when people were exchanging their bolivar for the US dollar, the money changers would often shortchange them, right? Where it's like, okay, you couldn't, like, for somebody who's relatively uneducated or doesn't track Forex, right, or didn't track Forex in the early 2000s when that change happened, they wouldn't know that they were getting shortchanged by like 5%. You following? 5%, upwards of 10%. They might not know that they were being totally shortchanged when they were trying to trade their bolivars for peso or for dollars, or vice versa. They wouldn't know that the state was performing kind of a hidden tax by arbitraging the difference there. And I think the same may be happening here, and that may be why they're so interested in accepting specifically dollarized cryptos, right? So stable coins instead of something like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum. So I'm a little bit concerned about this. It is sort of a de facto dollarization. It's leaning on the strength of the dollar without actually accepting dollars or without having to deal with any kind of official recognition of the dollar or any kind of partnership with the U.S. Treasury. So very strange news. I thought it was maybe a little bit bullish. Maybe it is for adoption, but it's very, very strange. Let's go back to that main article, though. And it says, Argentina's openness to cryptocurrencies. As inflation in Argentina worsens, the move towards crypto assets could be a way that the tax office uses to rein in the nearly 70% year-on-year inflation afflicting the Argentine peso. Argentina's President Alberto Fernandez is open to adopting digital currencies as legal tender. He said in an interview last year that going forward with crypto must be treated carefully since he lacks good knowledge of the asset class. This is a subject that must be treated carefully in my case because it is still unknown to me. Some still don't understand how this money is materialized. These doubts I have are shared by many. That's why the project has not expanded further. 4 weeks ago, Binance and MasterCard announced a crypto rewards card for the Latin American country. Argentina is the only and first country on the continent to take advantage of the partnership between the leading crypto exchange and the giant financial service provider. So, yeah, I get the sense that this might become an arbitrage play by the country of Argentina. What do you think? Tell me in the chat. On Cointelegraph, Aave community proposes to temporarily suspend ETH lending before the merge. Block Analytica proposed a temporary pause in Ether borrowing to mitigate the risks which may lead to a decentralized finance implosion in the Aave lending protocol during the merge. I'm just going to say I agree with them. There could be problems, and my experience on like Warley Testnet post-merge, post-simulated merge, would lead me to believe the same thing, that there will be some risks in DeFi platforms, and they're wise to delay lending until after the merge is totally ironed out. All the kinks are totally ironed out. Forever Metalhead says, reading this out loud is enjoyable, to be honest. Such a colorful language. Hey, I appreciate you saying that, man. Yeah, the Spanish is a beautiful language. Absolutely is. And a lot of rich cultures throughout Latin America. So, yeah, agreed. Thanks for that. But I agree with Yave in pausing the lending. And normally I would say, like, oh, decentralization is the most important thing. But if the Ethereum core developers are moving fast and breaking things, so to speak, that's not decentralization. And that, yeah, it's still dangerous freedom, so to speak, in that respect, decentralized. But that's not a function of decentralization. It's a function of just like, okay, get the upgrade done so we can get back to decentralization and see if this thing works at all. It's very, very disconcerting that things might break, because they really do stand a very real chance of breaking. Other news that is extremely important is that the Fed expects to launch a long-awaited faster payment system by 2023. What does this even mean? Well, here are their fast facts over on Forecast. The U.S. Federal Reserve expects to launch the payment system between May and July of 2023 after a testing phase beginning next month. That timeline is subject to how fast financial services providers can make the necessary investments to upgrade their infrastructure. The Fed-backed Automated Clearinghouse System, or ACH, which began operating in the 1970s, has handled $73 trillion across more than 29 billion payments last year alone. That data showed the new payment system will compete with privately held The Clearinghouse, which was launched by a consortium of large banks in 2017. It processed 42 million transactions valued at about 18 billion in the second quarter. So some good fast facts there. That's really cool to see that that's happening. My concern with this new system is that it will almost for sure, this new system will have a meaningful tie-in to a CBDC future for the Fed. So I'm worried about this becoming the beginning of the end of the dollar as we know it. Yeah, I realize this is all just the digital transfers, and it's meant to be an alternative to ACH, and I think many people will view this as a net positive. My concern is the long-term effects of having this new faster payment system be tied into a CBDC, right? You tell me in the chat, are you worried about that? Are you not? Tell me why. Why not? Love to hear from you on that. But I think, yeah, ACH, of course, it can be improved. Of course, all digital payments can be improved. But at what cost, right? That's always the question. At what cost? SHIB Inu burn rate jumps 300% with nearly 2 billion SHIB burned in the past week. This is very likely why the price is going up. But I brought this up just to say that I don't think that burning a token is any kind of fundamental value increase. In what meaningful way can you say, like, oh, we got rid of half of this thing? That makes it more valuable. Well, the thing itself has to have inherent value. It can't just be the scarcity. It's not just scarcity. It needs to be a fixed value of something else. It needs to have some kind of other additional fundamental property that gives it value. I don't see it personally. But some people think that this gives Shiba tremendous value. And yeah, Bone trading volume surges 400%. Bone, the governance token of Shiba Inu ecosystem, is presently up 92% at $2.17. Thanks to investor optimism, notably Bone has gained nearly 150% in the last 48 hours. So yeah, I think it's all irrational exuberance on the part of SHIB holders. But you tell me, are you excited about SHIB? Is the SHIB army here in the mineyour.biz community? Tell me, make yourself known. Ethereum trading volume at its most sluggish. ETH price struggles below 1,600. This is fresh, hot off the press. But Ethereum trading volume is sluggish. On-chain volume is sluggish. Prices are low. Fees are low. I think people who said that the merge was going to be bullish for crypto's price, and I've told them to their face, I think that they were not realizing how incredibly priced in the merge is and how incredibly damaging the merge could be, right? I'm going to wait and see. I don't think that the merge necessarily means bigger prices. And I don't necessarily think that the merge will will be the last thing we see before $10,000 Ethereum. I think it's entirely possible that the merge will totally, fundamentally break Ethereum for a time, and that we will be stuck with a very bad situation in crypto. So yeah, it's anticipated. It's supposed to fuel an ESG narrative, but I don't think it's all roses, unicorns, rainbows, and butterflies. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki warns that a triple bubble crash is here, says millions will be wiped out. He warns of the so-called triple bubble. And the way he framed it was 2008 was a great time to get rich. Everything went on sale. Borrowed millions of dollars buying real estate bargains. In 2013, I published Rich Dad's prophecy predicting bigger crash coming. That crash is here. Millions will be wiped out. Please do not be one of them. Time you get richer. Kiyosaki also argues that investors need to change their investment mindset before adjusting their portfolios. It's not what's in your wallet, it's what's in your head. All markets crashing. Real estate, stocks, gold, silver, Bitcoin. Middle class wiped out by higher oil inflation. Yet rich are getting richer. Difference in head, not wallet. Change what's in your head first, then get richer. Rich Dad lessons. Losers quit when they lose. Bitcoin losers are quitting. Winners learn from their losses. I am waiting for Bitcoin to test 1,100. I don't think that's what he meant. I think he probably meant 11,000. 1,100. If it recovers, I will buy more. If it does not, I will wait for losers to capitulate, quit, then buy more. So I tend to agree with Robert Kiyosaki. And I'm going to end the show on that note. Listen to people who are smarter than you at what they do. And that's why I listen to Robert Kiyosaki. Appreciate you watching all the way to the end of this episode. This has been a longer live stream than we normally do, but you're the reason I make this media. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, click the like, click the bell icon so you're notified when new media comes out. Stay tuned for our regular Tuesday and Thursday live streams. Not everyone will be a 3-hour live stream like this one was, but there won't always be quite this level of news that we have to cover. So look for some of these news articles to be broken out into their own individual videos on the channel. And of course, if you want to contribute, you can always contribute timestamps in the comments below. Appreciate you, and thank you for bringing me on this crypto journey and coming along with me. You're the reason I make this media. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz.